Enjoy the show. And welcome everyone to the Brightside. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly this week, and actually today is the last day. Pauly will be back next week. Pauly's covering for Patty in the mornings from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So, Issa, it's Friday. We did it.
It's Friday.
We made it.
Badness.
Yes, absolutely. We just got to make it through these next 4 hours, and we'll be good to go. So,
yes.
We're gonna go a little softer into the weekend. Obviously, there's been a lot of fireworks going on this week with in regards to the budget and everything goes on. But there's some really great things happening on the island as well, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that as we head into the weekend. The weather, hopefully, it cooperates with us. A lot of events happening on Saturday and specifically on Sunday with the Tumon Night Market. So it's been a huge success, and we want to make sure that continues to be. We want to be able to ensure that all our community members and folks that are from off island have the opportunity to go down and check all the amazing food, drinks, music, and just indulge in the local culture. And I think that's what it's all about. Just having the opportunity to bring everybody together. So hopefully the weather cooperates. I don't know what that looked like on Sunday. I'm trying to pull it up real quick.
I'm trying to pull it up too.
Okay, good, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be pulling it up. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, but rain or shine, the show must go on, and that's very important. So, but if you do have an opportunity, if you were able to go to the first one, you will see that things continue to get better every week. So, and that's one of the promises that GVB has made.
Right. So I have here, according to the National Weather Service, let's see here.
Let's keep our fingers crossed here.
Okay, so tonight we have isolated showers, partly cloudy. Saturday, mostly sunny, calm wind. I'm reading this like it's super detailed, so it's like the day, the night. So,
yes.
So during the day, Saturday, it's mostly sunny. Saturday night is scattered showers and thunderstorms.
Okay.
Sunday, scattered showers and thunderstorms, partly sunny. And then Sunday night is mostly cloudy.
We'll take it.
So it's like a 50, right?
We'll take it.
Okay.
It. Yeah. Well, it's been raining early in the morning.
Right.
But I believe the setup is happening a little bit closer to the mid-morning now. So I think even the setup is getting better. And so I think that if it doesn't rain, that's great for those folks that are putting the canopies up and setting up the stage. So hopefully that's being worked out. If it does rain a little bit, sorry about that. But then having a little bit scattered, or cloud cover is good, right? Hopefully this slight wind and, not too hot and not too rainy. I think that will make for a good time walking around, downtown Tumon. So that's it's going to be a great time. So again, GVB has said that, they're going to continue to learn every week as they move forward, and they have. You can see the changes. I heard yesterday in a conversation that I was having with somebody who attended on last weekend was the fact that the shuttle is getting really fluid. The service is really getting in tune with folks being able to park closer to the park. They get into the shuttle, get taken down, and enjoy the festivities. So obviously the entertainment, the food, everything is also being improved as well in the sense of just making sure that they have a good rounded amount of local vendors, and that's one of the things that they're looking at right now. And so if you do have the opportunity on Sunday, head on down to the Tumon Night Market. Again, we want this thing to succeed. It's all about creating good momentum, and I think that if we continue to show our local folks that they can come down, have a good time, and that we could also have our visitors come down, enjoy, partake, meet all the locals, take pictures, share on social media. That's going to go a long way, and that's going to be able to reach the masses and folks that are on the fence line on whether they should come to Guam or not, whether they're in Japan, Korea, Philippines, wherever they're at. If they're on the fence line about coming to Guam, maybe that could push them over the edge. And I think that if you look at some of the pictures that were taken in the previous two, just amazing. It just like a huge block party, the sun going down in the evening. The streets are full of people walking around with food, drinks. It just makes for just a good environment. So let's continue to share that. Let's continue to support our local vendors as well. That's very important to support our local businesses. They need it. They really, really need the help. So anything that anybody can do to support them, please do so. And so we will have a few folks coming in today as well. I've called in the support reinforcement, and so Auntie Bobby and Johnny will be coming in as well and supporting me with the last 4 hours of the show. And I'm sure that once they both get in, we're going to be off to the races, talking about different things from local events and things that are actually happening on the mainland side, which could potentially have impact on us, because one of the questions that I want to be able to raise to everybody is the fact that obviously, we do understand that we need more police attention, police officers on the beat, on the streets, making sure that all our neighborhoods, all our villages are safe. And so we will, I would like to throw out the question and see how and what people have been reacting, or if you have not read as far as what's going on in Washington, D.C., or previously what happened in L.A., the president has called up the National Guard to support the local police departments in order to combat, criminal activities. Obviously, it's a long time coming to combat that, right, into a full force aggressive. Now the whole discussion is whether the National Guard should have been called to a city, to Washington, D.C. As a reinforcement, or to take direct action. And so, the question that I would like to present is, is there a point? Is there a point that we here on Guam should sound the alarm and say, crime is really reaching at a level that, our local police department, can no longer control, because we don't have enough folks on the streets patrolling and so forth. So is there a point where we could potentially see the National Guard come out and, the Guam National Guard come out and support our mission to ensure that we, suppress all criminal activities that are happening here on Guam? And so if you do have any comments or thoughts about that or opinion on that, please give us a call at 671-922-1051 or 671-922-1052. I welcome any thoughts, any comments in regards to that question. The question being is, is there a point that we are going to reach where we should reach out and talk to the Guam National Guard in support of the criminal activities that are happening on Guam? Or do you think that we would, what does that point look like? Should we see more killings happening? Should we see more people getting arrested for criminal acts, stealing, and so forth? At what point do we want to draw that line? Obviously, we're keeping a close eye on what's happening in Washington, D.C. The president felt that enough was enough. Obviously, he lives in Washington, D.C., and there's been a lot of criminal activity, beyond the normal extent. And the argument has been with the local mayor is the fact that the D.C. mayor is saying that, crime has gone down. And so, but on the back end of it, when you look at the reason why crime has gone down is because the crimes are not being reported, and the police department is not able to apprehend enough of these criminals to take them in. So when you look at that, that's one of the things that could drive why the crime rate has been down. The numbers don't reflect the reality of what's going on in Washington, D.C. So is there a point? Is there a level? Would love to see the numbers. Would love to see our crime numbers. Would love to see the percentage. Month over month, week over week, to see exactly, what that looks like. And with somebody that does have experience both in the military and in the police department, let's go ahead and put Joe on the phone. Joe Malik, Hafa. Joe, thank you so much for giving us a call.
Viva business.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Joe, and let me just I don't know if you listened to the question that I threw out there, but Washington D.C. now, the National Guard has been called upon to support the police department there because crime is really rampant there, and so
Yeah, I was watching that. I was watching it.
so what do you think? You were in the military,
The
and
FBI
you were
and CIA all signed to Washington D.C. Washington D.C. is only a Commonwealth.
right,
That's the argument.
right.
Yeah.
But somebody that has served in the police department and somebody that served in the military, do you think that here on Guam at some point, I mean, is there a point that we should ever call upon the National Guard here?
Charlie, let me tell you, I've spent 35 years in the Guam Police Department. The police department and fires never enough personnel.
Right.
The distribution of personnel is the problem. The Army personnel for the Guam Police at least over 300 because there's too many divisions of the Guam Police. You have the narcotic unit, you have
The highway?
investigation unit, you have highway patrol, you have you see the patrol below lieutenant, those are the workman crew. They investigate any incident and make a report and testify in court. Just like the traffic investigator.
Right.
The detective unit is only a follow-up on an investigation.
So
The highway patrol and the regular patrol, beat patrol, are the first personnel on the scene.
right.
Out of my 35 years in the police department, I do encounter civil suit or police brutality. And that's one of the hardest things a police officer to cover the police brutality.
Right.
The first incident on police brutality was 45,000 suits from an individual. And the other one is 50-some thousand. And that's very hard to handle. It took me about 3 months to get back to normal. So that's a lot of money for me to pay.
Oh wow, yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. But Joe, what do you think? I mean, do you think that at some point is there a point? What do you think? Is there a point where that should be thought about bringing on the National Guard to support? I mean, where do we draw the line as to letting crime just get way too far?
They can use the National Guard, but that has to be declared by the executive.
Right.
They
Right.
can use the National Guard for backup or double up patrol unit
Right.
or any section in the police department only for observation and accompany the regular officer.
Right. And I think that that's something that we need to just kind of keep a close eye on because one of the things that I've been looking for is to get a little bit more of the numbers. Like what do our crime numbers look like?
The Guam police, the chief can negotiate and settle some agreement with the airport police
Right.
and
Right.
the Commercial Port Police to admin the operation. On a situation like Christmas and New Year is,
Right.
they have to make an agreement that all those the government of Guam can pay those airport police on the day off and work with the Guam police or the Commercial Port Police.
Right. Because right now they all have their own jurisdiction, right?
Yes, but they can ride around with the Guam police
Yeah.
instead of only one covering half of the island.
Right. Right. And that's, that's always been sort of the, the point. I think right now they're trying to recruit more police officers, and we just saw in the news about that new program that they started with the T's and High, about, starting up a program as early as in high school to start recruiting for, future police officers, which is, I think it's a great thing. I mean, we gotta start hitting our younger generations to start recruiting, right? We got to start recruiting more police officers, and that also includes DOC and port police and airport police and so forth.
That would be a good idea to secure the personnel,
Yeah,
especially the Guam police.
yeah, and I
With
just
the airport and Commercial Port Police, it's a different assignment or different type of work with the Guam police. The Guam police, it covers the entire island. The airport only covers the airport. Commercial Port only covers the airport.
mm-hmm.
And a different type of work that they do. The Guam police can investigate the all crimes, narcotic, contraband, police, domestic, and the general, the general laws. Because the Guam police also covers the federal law,
Right.
federal and local law.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah, for sure. And so one of the things that I do have some I have a few police officer friends, and they're spread thin. I talk to them, and sometimes they the shifts that they pull, they're long hours. I mean, I know they're all working hard. So we got to be able to find a way to be able to support them, so that again, the mission here is to make sure that all our people are safe, all the villages are safe, and that the criminals understand that if you commit a crime, you better be sure that you're going to get punished.
Very funny, because when we talk on the radio, right, these people, the criminals, listen to us, and they know that the companies don't have enough personnel to cover the area.
No, trust me, they're smart. They're smart. I've heard some of them getting into flying drones. Honestly, yeah. So it's amazing, but we got to be able to stay one step ahead of them. But Joe, we're gonna take a quick break. Okay. We always value your phone calls. Thank you so much for sharing your information, and again, please call again, and thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
Thank you. And with that, we have reached a break point, and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the bright side.
CBS News Brief. Attorney General Pam Bondi has named the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration as Washington, D.C.'s Emergency Police Commissioner. CBS News Justice Department reporter Jake Rosen looks at how the federal takeover is going.
We saw FBI Director Kash Patel announce this morning that the administration across its federal law enforcement officers had made 43 arrests, but 29 of those were immigration-related arrests.
The hours are counting down now to President Trump's meeting in Alaska with Russia's Vladimir Putin as the president looks for a plan toward a ceasefire in Ukraine.
We're going to find out where everybody stands.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is moving ahead with the state's plan to challenge Republican redistricting moves in Texas and other states, moves Newsom says are orchestrated by President Trump.
Here we are, an open and plain sight before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system.
CBS News Brief. I'm Michael Toscano.
Workers on the move, hoping for better pay. I'm Mark Hamrick with a Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. A new Bankrate survey finds nearly half of those in the workforce plan to look for a new job in the next 12 months. That includes 1 in 4 who say they're very likely to look for a new position. This comes at a time when the job market has demonstrated resilience, but it has also continued to cool. Even with the unemployment rate recently slipping to 4.1%, that's considered strong, historically speaking. Others plan to do other things to try to improve their workplace plight. 44% of workers say they plan to ask for a raise over the next year. That includes a majority of the youngest people in the workforce, members of Generation Z and millennials. Many workers indicate they're prepared to be mobile, with 18% saying they're likely to relocate for a new job. About 1 in 3 say they're likely to ask for more work flexibility, such as different hours or the ability to work remote or from home. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
I'm Larry Magid with the Connect Safely report. The American Psychological Association released a health advisory about the impact of artificial intelligence on adolescent well-being, and found that the impacts are complex and context-dependent, neither wholly good nor bad. For learning, it said, AI can assist in brainstorming, creating, organizing, summarizing, and synthesizing information. But it also found that adolescents may struggle to distinguish between the simulated empathy of an AI chatbot and genuine human understanding. Connect Safely Education Director Carrie Gallagher suggests that parents model their own positive use of AI.
The more we show them how we're using it and how we're thinking about our interactions can encourage their healthy development and use with AI over time.
More at connectsafely.org/radio. With the Connect Safely report, I'm Larry Magid for CBS News.
A major AI company prohibited job seekers from using AI on their applications. Here's why it changed its policy. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune Magazine with the Fortune Business Update. The company is Anthropic, and its AI chatbot is called Claude. Like some other companies, it prohibited job applicants from using AI to refine their resumes, cover letters, and applications. But now the company says it uses Claude every day. In fact, it uses Claude to create job descriptions, improve interview questions, and manage candidate communications. So the company figured it's only fair that candidates can use such tools too. But only up to a point. Job seekers still can't use AI when given problems to solve or being interviewed. And with AI improving by the week, don't be surprised if the rules at Anthropic and elsewhere change again before long. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Great harmony with Discord. This is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. Gamers know Discord, but there's a lot more to this innovative social media service with a weird name, and much more than just the latest Minecraft hacks. For example, did you know that you can use Discord to build your own unique online community, both for live chat and video communication? And that thousands of dedicated Discord servers now cover a huge and growing variety of different topics. Even though the shift started only 5 years ago, more than 150 million users are now benefiting from the platform's versatility. And more join as non-gamers leave other social platforms looking for new online homes. So who knows? Maybe the next breakout Discord server will be yours. Check out the world of Discord at discord.com. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
At Bank of Hawaii, we're committed to helping everyone in Guam reach their possible. That's why we're proud to announce the opening of our new Tamuning branch and West Pacific headquarters across from Guam Premier Outlets. Our new branch of tomorrow features a modern, welcoming space with island hospitality. Come in today and see why Bank of Hawaii's new Tamuning branch represents a new chapter in our commitment to Guam and helping you reach your possible. Bank of Hawaii, member FDIC.
Think you've got what it takes to win? Tune in every Friday on Wave 105 FM with Patty Arroyo for the Hilton Trivia Challenge. Test your knowledge and you can score dinner for two at the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa. It's brought to you by the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa only on Wave 105 FM.
Political status impacts almost every aspect of our lives on Guam, but many are unaware of our right to self-determination and decolonization. What does it mean and how can it improve our quality of life? Join the conversation, ask some questions, and learn more about your right to self-determination and the 3 legitimate political status options for Guam. Tune in to Challenge the Status Quo every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon on Wave 105.1 FM, presented in partnership with the Commission on Decolonization and Glimpses Media.
It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
Now it's that time for your real deal traffic report here on the bright side. Slow traffic on route. See here. Sorry, actually heavy traffic on Route 1 in Hagåtña if you are heading southbound to the intersection near the Guam Autospot dealership. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Tamuning if you're heading northbound to the intersection that leads to Route 10A. Slow traffic on Route 10A in Tamuning if you are heading to the intersection in front of the Guam Airport. Heavy traffic on Route 16 in Barragata if you are coming from the intersection near the Guam National Guard heading up to the intersection near the Guam Rev and Tax. And now for your traffic advisory for the week. This is actually for next week. Construction activities will continue along Route 10 between the Route 4 intersection and Father Dueñas from August 18th to 23rd. There will be lane closures between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Motorists should expect delays and drive with caution. And that is your real deal traffic report here on the bright side.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Taseo, giganteo, be my cradle, be my home. Taseo, my misnapo, be the stillness of the moon.
And welcome back to the Bright Side. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly. Pauly has been covering for Patty in the mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. And Pauly will be back next week. And as promised,
we're here.
My reinforcements are
We're here, Charlie.
Thank you. Thank you. I heard you with the cavalry, the horses coming in.
Oh, what a run up here, man. Between the rain and these crazy I don't know what kind of drivers they are, but man, they come from another planet.
Yeah, Marine Corps Drive is really
And it's
busy.
only 2:00. It's 2:30 in the.
But it's a Friday. It's a Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a Friday afternoon.
That's what I said. I said TGIF.
Absolutely.
These guys running away from work at 2:00 in the afternoon. What kind of jive is that?
No,
man?
It's
you know,
standard procedure for Fridays.
no, and it started a little rough, right? We were just talking about the
bad
the
accident.
bad accident this morning over. Yeah, absolutely.
Over in Teason.
Yeah, so
on
hopefully
Route 8.
I haven't
was
heard
crazy.
any. I haven't gotten any reports on exactly.
Never mind if they live, they live. If they die, that's their
No,
own fault.
it looked pretty bad though.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, when I was passing it early this morning, there were 2 ambulances, a couple of fire trucks, as a matter of fact, and a whole bunch of GPD guys directing traffic
and
on all sides.
That's I mean, and that popped up, and I was actually gonna take that route, and then I just made a U-turn. and
It's a good thing you
Yeah.
did because it didn't get cleared up till after 7:00.
Oh, jeez.
You know?
No, even beyond that. No, beyond that. So
Yeah, it was beyond that.
So
and we live there.
So before you guys got here, I presented a question, but before we get to that question, in regards to what's happening in Washington D.C. with the call up of the National Guard.
Yeah.
Right. So they called up the National Guard. The president called the National Guard because the crime is rampant. So he pretty much said enough is enough.
Right.
And so he's now being able to support the local police department with being able to do the things they need to do to get all the criminals off the street.
Right.
So I presented that question here locally. At what point do we ever look at that? At what point do we say, the crime is well beyond anything that our local police department can handle? Because, again, they're very shorthanded. They need to cover a lot of areas.
Right.
And so
What happened to all these guys that graduated from the 19th cycle, the 20th cycle, the
But
14th cycle?
they're still trying to recover and getting enough, to fill all the vacancies. I know
Right.
that they're very short-handed right now. So, but that was a question I posed. But before that, thank you so much for joining me and getting ready for Friday. Apparently, on the weekend, Johnny cuts about 300 acres of grass. That's what he was saying. Something, I don't know. Close to that, Johnny? I don't know.
Yeah, about 350.
Well, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I was short.
The
I was
lower
short.
40.
Yes. Drives around all day cutting grass.
All day
and,
cutting grass with a bush cutter slung over my shoulder like Daniel Boone.
Didn't know if the invitation to come over was to help him or to enjoy some of Bobby's great food. So you're gonna have to let me know which one before I commit. Okay.
Charlie.
It's always about my great food.
Yes, it has to be. It has to be. But any plans for this weekend or any?
Oh, what do we got?
We've had a really busy week. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's busy.
We were at the university today because we went. And
Oh, did you go to the final day of the HMI?
Yeah, we
We
were
went
only
to-
there for less than an hour, actually.
She did a presentation yesterday,
Yeah.
and some of these guys were crying. I was going to go over there. What are you crying? Marines don't cry. Army guys
you know
don't
what?
cry.
I think that's probably the second time that I've heard the presentation.
Mhm.
But I don't know why yesterday's hit a little bit. I don't know. It hit a little bit more closer because I never fully. And maybe I didn't quite understand the first part of the story you were telling me. But I actually listened to the entire thing, and your daughter's, grief was the sort of kind of like your segue into.
Becoming a grief recovery
Right,
specialist.
right,
yes.
right.
Yes, and so the presentation yesterday was based on veterans
Right.
going
It's
through
always
their grief
based on
and
veterans.
all the different types of grief that that they actually suffer from everything, from going to boot camp to going through the war zone, coming home from any deployment. All those things are different.
Yeah.
Once you leave to join the military and then you come back, your life that you left is not the same when you come back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you kind of cross that over to here locally, I mean, we unfortunately, even just this last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of folks that we know that have been they lost loved ones in accidents, and tragic accidents,
Yes.
and things you're like, oh my Lord, how did this thing explode? And
Yeah.
it killed one of their son, and so when you look at that, is there any local grief? I mean, how does that work? Is there a local community grief?
There's about there was 10 of us
Yeah, I was
here
gonna
on
say
Guam
10.
that became certified grief recovery specialists. Some of them have left. There was 10 of us here, and I believe we had 5 in Saipan, because we had an instructor come to Guam, and she had like 15 15 people that she certified to become grief recovery specialists. And not everybody does the grief recovery method. Sometimes it's because they have full-time jobs and stuff like that. But yeah, we do it. I mean, I still do it. It's I don't do it as often as Darlene, but Darlene does hers every which way. I mean, she can do it online, and she has different groups. Like she has a widow group, and she helps not just people in the U.S. or in Guam. She's even reached people in like Canada and in Europe to take her courses online.
So I wonder. I mean, is that still active? Does that fall under the Department of Health or
no? This is all private. We all do it privately. Yeah. And so each recovery specialist will, reach out to whoever they think needs the help.
Yes.
And what we used to do back in the day before COVID was we would have talks at coffee shops, and we'll invite people over to listen to the presentation, and we just give them like part of what grief recovery is about, and then they each sit down with us and talk to us.
I can even give you instruction on grief recovery. But my way's the hard way.
Yeah, he needs to go through the program, but I can't do it for him.
That's not what I heard, but it's okay.
Are you listening?
Yeah,
you did listen to my story, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, but I mean, I think that's very important. I think, locally here, obviously we all talk about, there's a family, so everybody tries to surround themselves with family, but I think there's still a process there.
Yes, there is. It's actually, the process that we do is, it's like an 8-week program, and it's an hour to an hour and a half every week. So we'll pick a day of the week. Then we have to pick a location. We'll get a location that's private, because everything that we do in grief recovery has to be confidential.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can do it by group. We can do it by one-on-one, and then we can also do it online.
Got it.
But yesterday's presentation was really good, and she had a good, captivated audience, and she got some referrals for the future to appointments and clients.
Because I will tell you, I know a lot of folks that have not gone through a process. They just done it their own way. But they know they've done it their own way, and there's that door still a little, it's still open there.
If they don't complete the process, it's still going to be there. Grief is going to be there for the rest of your life.
Correct.
But when you go through the grief recovery method, it makes you go through it, and you're able to have a better life rather than crying all the time. You'll have some life to yourself,
right,
where it'll be a happier moment.
Yeah, or I've also heard folks that have turned into, they turned into alcohol, they turned to
absolutely.
drugs, just
drugs.
numbing the pain, right?
Yes.
And it's been unfortunate, we've also seen the suicide as well.
Right.
They lose a loved one, and I'm right there behind.
Did you hear the stats? 1.17 a day.
17, at least 17 per day.
Wow.
Die by suicide.
Throughout the U.S.
To the U.S. And that's a lot when you multiply that 257 days a year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think that, so Bobby, I mean, we weren't going to talk about this, but is there anything could we share anything where they can reach out? Is there something that...
Call Bobby.
Is there a number, or is there a website?
As a matter of fact, my reason for going back to HMI this morning was I had a sign-up sheet, but it wasn't. Of course, it takes them a while to sign.
It's hard, absolutely.
Going through grief is very difficult, and you have to be ready for it. You have to really want to go through that method in order for you to heal, because it's a lot of digging into the pain that you suffered, and it's not just a recent grief. It's how we work it is from as far back as you can remember.
Oh, yes. And I remember, and I've been very transparent about my journey as well, and things that I've gone through, and I remember when I felt like things were kind of like a little off, that things like, And so, having thoughts that or like, whoa, kind of takes you aback. But so, when I had somebody, because they had to schedule it for me, and I went to, it was a holistic doctor, and I went to a holistic doctor, and so the journey that he took me was, he wanted for me to create this mental video recording of my life.
Yeah.
And so he said, let's rewind this.
Yeah.
Right. Let's rewind it all the way to when you were just born. I mean, when you think about it,
you're scaring me now.
No, it is.
I'm telling you, it's
holistic. Is that like Soriano?
I think they call it holistic because they're not.
Yes, it is holistic because there's no medicine involved.
Right.
Yeah. So grief recovery method is an holistic type
of method.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been sleeping with a holistic person.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you have. There you go. So they, we went back on this journey. So we hit rewind all the way back down, and obviously in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm not going to remember anything that when you were coming out, you're giving birth, but they were able, he was able to rewind and pull up things that I didn't remember, but they were suppressed, and they brought it out.
Absolutely.
What, he hypnotized you?
No. He makes you, he puts you at a mental state where you can rewind your brain. Right,
yeah,
your memory.
I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. And you're talking about when you were born.
So when I went through my grief recovery journey, I went all the way back to when I was 5 years old.
Oh wow!
That's as far back as I can remember.
Right.
When I was 5 years old, and then and then even after you go through that journey, then you look back again and you tell yourself, oh, I forgot this piece. I forgot what happened during this period.
Right.
But it's really in depth.
No, absolutely, and so that was evident, and I started looking at that, those things that had happened in my past as a way to be able to combat, the things that were happening to me now, and that or could potentially have happened to me in the future,
right?
If I didn't realize what they were. So, very, very interesting.
Yeah,
I think.
Hey, and you gave a good presentation, man. So professional.
Yeah.
He was walking around like Walter Cronkite. No notes.
Yeah,
no notes.
Yeah.
Everything verbatim off the top of his head. Like I said, man, this guy's another Obama. Check it. He's a speaker from the word go, man. He's no notes and stuff and the hand gestures and everything. And he was stepping across with those his shoes and everything. I said, the Fosse shoes. You know Fosse.
Yes.
That's a word, you better get with the times because, they want me to run for senator.
That's what I heard. That's what the rumor. That's what the rumor is.
Yeah, that's the rumor that started today.
And I can see your true colors as well.
No way, baby. I
can see your true colors right now. I mean, what you're wearing. I can see what you're wearing right now.
Yeah.
It's indicative. Yeah.
I said, for me, no way, he's not running.
She was hollering. That's not what she said, but the thing of it is, yesterday during both of your presentations were very well presented. Mm-hmm. I got to say, as a part of the audience, that I was amazed at you two, and I said, you don't do this professionally, but you acted professionally.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you,
and the
John.
whole program put together by HMI was very well put. And today they had dogs.
Oh, they brought in the service dogs.
Yeah, I'm sure that was done right after lunch.
And they stopped right beside me, and I thought, oh, I'm busted.
Either that or they were smelling something in your pocket. a little
These
Scooby.
dogs are supposed to be trained to actually get your medication and give it to you. However, that's done because we weren't there to see it.
Called service dogs.
Yeah, the service dogs.
Dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And I think that at some point we actually discussed that, even our Boonie dogs could be potentially trained to become service dogs. I don't know which ones, but there was a notion that we could actually, train some of these local Boonie dogs to do something to be service dogs. But I've always been fascinated about those who need those service dogs because. They can actually detect before you have either
a heart
attack, or an episode.
Right? Yeah.
Epilepsy.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, our daughter Melissa is leaving next on the 24th because her husband just retired, and so they have 3 service dogs that's going to be on the airplane with
and
them.
She convinced those guys
on their way back to the States.
Ma'am, you can't have but one dog on the base. She says. These are service dogs. And he said, oh, excuse me, ma'am, I got to go.
Yes.
Just all you got, some of these words and trickery is not.
Yeah, that's important for people.
To
have
absolutely.
service dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And And even that was another part during the wars, right, in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The dogs played a huge critical
Of
part
course.
in
Canine division.
And then they came back and they were retired at their rank, right?
Yeah.
Whether they were
Yeah.
corporal or sergeant.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't get a financing too.
Yeah. I only see those in the movies, but that is so real, though.
Oh,
it is.
Those
It is.
service dogs.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been a very interesting week. The whole big discussion. I mean, when I pulled up the news this morning, it was bam, straight into the heart of what's going on with the budget.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't want to start the show off talking about the budget because
No,
we could talk about that the whole day.
Yeah, true.
I wanted to get into something more kind of soothing to get into, ready for the weekend.
relax
Well,
for
we
the
are going to talk
weekend.
about the budget, but
Okay.
not at this time. But so HMI, they finished.
Yeah, today's
They're-
they're at boot camp now.
Okay.
The end of the boot camp.
Okay.
The last day. Of
But
it.
they did a
Yeah.
great job, and I
Oh,
like
yeah.
to give accolades to them. Tony and
Karina and
the
the
whole
whole
gang,
HMI
Right.
the
group.
whole
Yeah.
gang up there.
Yeah, and again, the other presentation that I think a lot of people had good questions, and I think that was Tani's presentation,
Yeah.
right? The assisted
Yeah.
living.
That's another one. She found her place. She knows.
And you asked
she's
a great
doing good.
question.
Yeah.
Could you
Yeah.
be hired? To,
And she said yes.
yes, as long
Yeah.
as he's referred.
Yeah. So I'm going to look into it,
yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, she can be my welfare agent. Social service and welfare agent.
Yeah.
Well, she's running me dry right now as it is. Everything I got belongs to her.
Well, I'm actually your caregiver, so, at
That
least let
too,
me
we'll-
get some money into
we
that.
get 4 titles that you get more titles.
No. So those are and those things are the things that I think are very valuable. And again, we'll save it for next Wednesday. But I think those are the things that should be coming and pushed down
Yeah.
by the powers that be,
Yeah.
so that all the veterans have all the information. But because it's not, it really takes organizations like HMI to be able to take that baton and say, I'm going to run with it.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that are doing it, and to an extent,
Yes.
because we do we have GY671,
Yeah.
which has the mental health. They're pushing
Yeah.
out their
But they
stuff.
never put out no presentations like this. And they're the ones that got a grant for suicide. So follow through. Show the people that, okay, we did this. And they don't deny the grant for that sizable amount of money.
Right. And so that's something that we should throw out to the commission. Be like, okay, where are all the programs? Have
Yeah.
all the organization present their programs. Why don't we
Yes.
do that? Why don't we
Yeah.
say, let's carve out a one-day retreat where we have all the organizations, you commission board members, you sit there and let each one of those organizations present to you so that you know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
And
Let's
so-
talk about that after the break.
Oh,
'Cause you know what time it is. Look
yeah.
at, she's giving me the stink eye. She says, do you know what time it is?
Well, as you can hear and see on, so again, if you have any comments, please give us a call at 671-922-1051 or 1052. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Please give us any comments. And, with that, I got my reinforcements, as I said I was going to get, and we'll be right back on the bright side.
KGUM FM, Daddy No. The talk of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Michael Toscano. With just hours now until their meeting in Alaska, Russian President Vladimir Putin is praising President Trump. Putin said in the video Trump is making, quote, sincere efforts to stop the hostilities. CBS News correspondent Erica Brown has the view from the White House.
As President Trump prepared at the White House Thursday, he was asked whether incentives for peace could reward Putin for invading Ukraine in 2022.
No, I don't think it's a reward. I think that what we have is a situation that should never have started. Everybody's to blame. Putin's to blame. They're all to blame. This is a war that would have never happened.
Russia has recently more than doubled its monthly missile and drone attacks, and this week claimed to capture territory in eastern Ukraine.
The Trump administration is claiming the powers of Washington, D.C.'s police chief. Attorney General Pam Bondi named the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration as Washington's emergency police commissioner. Correspondent Scott McFarland.
The other component are the federal agents, the federal law enforcement, who by the hundreds are out in Washington, D.C., and they're, of course, armed. They're also visible, and they're going in to more high crime areas where crime has troubled the local residents and it's obviously troubled the president. And that's where things have started to pop off a bit.
California Governor Gavin Newsom announced he's moving forward with a redistricting plan, responding to Texas redrawing congressional districts to add 5 Republican seats. Masked U.S. Border Patrol agents appeared at the site where Gavin was speaking, and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass didn't like that one bit.
There is no way this was a coincidence. This was widely publicized that the governor and many of our other elected officials were having a press conference here to talk about redistricting, and they decided they were going to come and thumb their nose in front of the governor's face.
In New York City, the building at 26 Federal Plaza in Lower Manhattan had to be evacuated after envelopes containing a white powder were found there. The building houses DHS and U.S. immigration offices.
The building was evacuated as per standard protocol, and right now, no threat remains to any employees or the public at this time.
That's FBI Assistant Director in Charge Christopher Rea. The power is being evaluated. The Supreme Court is allowing Mississippi to enforce a law requiring those who use social media to verify their ages designed to protect children. Loyola Law Professor Lori Levinson.
I expect that this case will go on and eventually get to the Supreme Court. And when it gets to the Supreme Court, it wouldn't be surprising to find that this particular Mississippi law is too broad and therefore violates the First Amendment.
This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius. Or 2 half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now casting doubt on products used in sunscreens. CBS's Christopher Cruz reports that worries dermatologists.
Skin cancer is the most common type of cancer in the U.S. The American Academy of Dermatology says 9,500 people are diagnosed with skin cancer in this country every day. One way to lessen the possibility of getting skin cancer is to use a sunscreen. Dr. Rachel Westbay is a board-certified dermatologist.
Sunscreen has been, and will remain for the foreseeable future the only evidence-backed thing that can reliably and statistically significantly reduce the risk of potentially deadly melanoma and other non-melanoma skin cancers.
Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
Oregon Health and Science University says Nike co-founder Phil Knight and his wife Penny pledged $2 billion to its cancer center, and that's a record amount ever for any school donation. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
Here for the community. Wave 105 FM.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Engage in a conversation made for the veterans of Guam with Johnny and Miss Bobby. We want to hear concerns and comments. Tune in every Wednesday for our new time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wave 105, the talk of Guam.
Good afternoon. It is 3:05 p.m. and that is your time check on the bright side on Wave 105.1 FM. We have here our guest host Charlie Hermosa filling in for Pauly Suba today from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can listen to us online on our website, thewave105.com, or watch us live on YouTube, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. If you want to join the conversation, please call us at 671-922-10 671-1051 or 2. You can also send us your comments on WhatsApp at 671-922-1051. The Bright Side is brought to you by Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Code School of Guam. Learn, code, and lead the island's first coding boot camp. Your future in tech begins with us at Code School of Guam. GTA, we start with you. Micropack is open at their Timoning and Mall location. Make sure to follow their Instagram at Micropack671 and Micropack Inc. on Facebook for exciting deals and promotions. Sentinel Security Solutions, delivering operational excellence in protective services across commercial, industrial, and residential sectors. Sherwin-Williams, rain's coming fast. Are you ready? Seal your roof with Sherwin-Williams silicone roofing, engineered for Guam's toughest weather. From blazing sun to pounding rain, protect what matters today and ask Sherwin-Williams. Subway, eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh. Wiseout Animal Hospital. The Go Guam Support Local campaign is proudly sponsored by Wiseout Animal Hospital, where we treat your pets like the valued family members they are. Wiseout, the wise choice in animal care. Now it's that time for your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the Bright Side. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Hagåtña if you are heading southbound to the intersection near the Guam Auto Spot dealership. Slow traffic on Route 1 in Timoning if you are heading northbound to the intersection, and that leads to Route 10A. Slow traffic on Route 16 in Barragata if you're coming from the intersection near the National Guard heading up to the intersection near the Guam Rev and Tax. And now for your traffic advisory for the week. The DPW HMC crew will be preparing Route 4 from the Marito Bell Tower to Hemlani Apartments for paving between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. There will be intermittent lane closures. Paving is tentatively scheduled for the following week. The DPW asks motorists to please proceed with caution and remain alert for traffic control signs and work crews. And that is your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the Bright Side.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
I ran into this girl the night before. She reminded me of a golden shore. She was nothing like your average girl next
And welcome back to the Bright Side. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly. Pauly's been covering for Patty from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So welcome back, and I got my reinforcement here, Johnny and Miss Bobby. Thank you so much for joining me.
Wherever you go, we are there.
We're the crew.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. But, if you are cutting out of work early, please, drive safely.
Drive safely, please.
Get to where you need to get to first safely, please. Bobby, you were saying that the traffic was already backing up, certain areas as early as 2 p.m.
How can these guys run away from work at 2 o'clock? I don't understand.
No. Listen,
it never happened in my time.
I'm not surprised.
If you have a good boss, right?
Yeah.
And we actually had a conversation. I just attended the SHRM conference earlier this morning, and one of the questions that I had asked was, there's a cultural mindset where if I'm going to pay you for 40 hours, you're going to be here, and I'm going to look at you for 40 hours.
Right.
But the newer generation, if you give them a task, they can get it done like fairly quickly.
Right.
And so one of the things that I had asked was from the guest speaker was, how do we balance out with working with the new generation that they can get work done quickly, right? Because the thought process is that why are you going to punish any of your employees if they can get the work done on time? They get everything done. They're meeting their goals. They're doing everything they're supposed to do, but they're finishing everything within a couple of hours versus, the time span that you give them. And so, she basically came out and said, don't do that. The employers should not be looking at keeping employees just to keep them, hanging out there, right?
Right.
As long as they're productive, they're meeting their goals, they're doing everything they're supposed to. That whole micromanagement,
Right.
style, I think
Yeah.
is not well suited with the newer generation that's
Oh
coming
no,
up.
it's not, and a lot of them don't come in on time either.
Oh, and that's the other part.
Half of them are not presentable. You go to these clinics, you go to some of these places, you look at these kids, and I go, that's professional.
No, absolutely, and that's one of the things that we want to be able to continue to address. The soft skills.
Right.
Show up on time, look like you took a shower.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Look like you and just dress.
And if you pass by me, you better smell decent. Otherwise, I'll tell you.
Well, that could be subject to.
No,
I mean, because
no.
you
smell funky. I'll tell you, you old funky smeller. Because Marines don't stink.
But you know what? Yeah, let's not talk about that because our gear, our training gear had this distinctive smell of just being out in the woods, training, sweat, and all that good stuff.
No.
Rain.
My
and all
gear
that.
didn't smell. If it needed a scrub, okay, give it a scrub. Now don't be so. Don't. Oh, look at him. Look at him. He was a captain. He didn't do anything. I was a corpsman. I was in the mud, just grinding and stuff.
No,
so I
no,
came
no.
in, but I
No.
still cleaned myself off.
No. But yeah, so that's one of the things that we're actually discussing about because we want to be able to bring that up to the folks that have our next generation,
Right.
where they have them are the teachers, right?
Right.
At that point, where the middle school, high school, how do we reintegrate that back into part of the that looks like you just took it out of the dryer. Next time. We don't do that anymore. I remember like my mom would be like, "You're not going to school like that.
Right.
Take that off.
Yeah.
Change your pants."
Yeah.
And all that good stuff.
Your jeans are torn. You get in there and change them.
Yeah, I mean, and all of a sudden the torn jeans became a style,
Right.
right?
And then
so
working
And
at home
it's
became
not
a
just a
style.
little slit anymore on the knee.
Oh no, man!
Right.
They got
right,
things
right.
on their asses. It's all big. I said, wait a minute. You can see, she's not wearing underwear. My gosh, that's. Is that my sister? I pulled her by her hair and threw her in the house.
But yeah, so no, it was great. It was a great conference, but that's one of the things that I had a question in regards to that because, to the point that we were talking about, why are folks, and again, if as an employer, if your employees are doing a great job,
Right.
maybe reward them and cut them loose early because
Right.
as long as everything's done,
Mm-hmm.
right, they've
And
completed all
done
the time,
right.
and done right, exactly, and not fast and all.
Yeah.
If it's done right, well, here you go. And so, again, very great conference. We'll talk about that in a little bit when the other folks get on because they just had a lot of things in regards to HR management
Yes.
and the hiring process and all that great stuff. So
Yeah.
I did a really good analogy in regards to the Marine Corps or into the military because
Just your presentation and you're so white. He left no notes, and you flap at us with that thing in there, but you got it in your back pocket,
No.
the
Oh,
notebook.
on the way up here, I said, "Oops, we forgot our notebook."
Charlie's
Exactly.
gonna scold us.
I have it with me. I carry it every time I think of something. I write it down. But let's go ahead. We have a few callers, so let's go ahead and take a quick call and let's start with Joe. He called in first, and
Yeah.
Joe, welcome back. Joe, welcome back.
Hafa Adai, Joe.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam. I love
Hey,
the
did
smell
you
of
guys-
napalm.
Yeah, did you guys receive any check from United States Treasury?
Oh, the United States.
The VA?
No.
No.
The Treasury, did you get a check?
Yeah, I got a check. I received a check yesterday.
Oh, what?
For what?
I don't know.
You better give it back, Joe. They're going to get you for stealing the Treasury. Salamin, thank you, Maalakaw, Saki 7.
According to the note, it's Veterans Affairs.
They didn't give you any letter saying what it's for?
No.
Wow, that's interesting.
They just
We
put
better check the mail.
writing on the bottom.
Did you check the mail, dude?
Veterans Affairs.
Oh wow, it'd be interesting to see exactly what that. I haven't heard or I don't think anybody has said anything. But yeah, just I would just venture to see if there's a number there that you can call. Not the Treasury, but if there's a VA number, maybe follow up with your contact to see exactly what that's for.
No, I call my daughter to take this, take it to the bank and see if it's the real one.
Hey, Joe, voy no? ¿Cuánto? Huh?
Three-digit number.
Whoa, okay, all right.
Okay, Joe.
Don't say anything, you know.
That's it, Joe. I don't know nothing about it, but suck kids.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, yeah, it'll be interesting now. We're gonna have a lot of veterans, listeners going to the mailbox and seeing. I don't know. We'll see. Anything else, Joe?
I just go to let you guys know that I received a take from the VA.
Okay. I mean, that's gonna prompt me. I'm definitely gonna go home and check to make sure I have up-to-date mail. Taking all out. Yeah. But Joe, thank you always for giving us a call, and have a great weekend. Okay.
Be safe, Joe.
You guys.
You too. Have a great weekend.
Yes. Good morning, Vietnam. And now we're gonna switch over to JC.
JC hung up, but JC, if you want to call back, give us a call.
Call us back, JC.
No, that's interesting. Be interesting to see if it's not anything like a scam or anything, right? I mean, you always got to be careful.
I don't care if it is a scam. I'm going to cash it.
No, I've seen scams where you cash it and then they say, we sent the wrong amount. Yeah. Please give us, and they'll just take it right out of your out of your checking account or wherever.
Right.
It's terrible. Yeah. I've seen that happen with a lot of folks that are like receiving Social Security and.
Yeah.
That's the other thing with this new technique stuff. There's so many scams going on.
It's
it's frightening. It's
frightening. I mean,
I don't even carry my wallet with me.
I'm ready to, and I was trying to be ready for somebody that would say that as well. And it's similar to when the computer first came out.
Right.
They said the same thing.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know what's going on. Like
this is scary.
This is scary stuff, and this was back in like the late 70s, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we go through evolutions. Okay, so we do have another caller, Mr. Perez. Good.
Mr. Perez.
Good.
How you doing, sir?
Hey.
Hey, thank you. I didn't know you had vet talk.
Oh no, we got. I needed to bring reinforcements just to kind of finish out the Friday and strong.
I just got a simple question. My phone's gonna die, so if it dies, I'm sorry, but hey, I just wanted to find out. This guy asked me, a veteran, right? He's 100% VA, but I wanted to ask you guys, what's the difference between the 100% VA scheduler and 100% scheduler PNT? Is there really a difference? I mean, when I got my 100%, I got an ID card. They changed my ID card. How about PNT? Do they get another ID card?
No.
No, it should all be the same.
Yeah, it should be the same. Yes.
Say what? I didn't hear you.
No, it should be the same.
Same, the 100% and 100% PNT?
As far as ID card goes, it should be the same.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I didn't want to tell him nothing because I didn't know that it's the same. But do they get the same benefits or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see what it would be different.
I don't even know what a PMT is. What 100% PMT? What is
so,
that?
Like a permanent, like you can't work. There's a difference between 100% disabled and you can still work, and then the other side that you can't work.
Unemployability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the listening audience of Mr. Paris.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to see what's the difference because when you're 100% PNT, I guess your spouse is eligible for Champ VA.
Yes. Yes.
How about just regular, not a PNT also, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
As long as you're 100%.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, yeah, okay. I hope he's listening right now because when we had conversations today, I couldn't answer him. I said, well, let me ask the people that are kind of the experts at this, and you guys are on the air, so well, thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Always call in, and you can always listen to Bobby and Johnny on Wednesdays from 10 to 12 as well.
And Charlie.
Will do,
Yes.
will do. Thank you.
So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the call.
This is coming live from the #1 talk show in the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, folks probably are getting confused. They're like, whoa, is this Wednesday? Like,
Yeah.
they're driving. They're like, oh, my gosh, I know
But
that
is
voice.
there a difference between what is PMT? What is
So
that?
I think
partial something?
like
or-
permanent,
Permanent?
like where you can't work, right?
Okay.
So and then there's disabled,
Yeah.
100%
So
disabled.
you know that as unemployability.
Yeah,
Right.
Unemployability
the
to
30%.
PNT, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if you have a regular 100%, like what he was asking, you
Mhm.
can still work.
Correct.
You can still go in and get a job and be employed.
Because like that gal like that guy, Stephen, that we mentioned that introduced him to Jenna yesterday, she said she was surprised that his condition should have been more modified to what he is really deserving of.
Yeah, but the other, I mean, because the other,
Oh, there's Tom Devlin. I'm sure
and
he's
no,
got-
actually, he called in yesterday.
You
It
want
really
the budget? The
that's-
budget?
Yeah. He's our contact. Yeah, let's bring him on. Let's bring him on.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, you're calling a little early. Wednesday's not for another couple days.
Well, I don't know the days anymore. I'm so old.
You didn't call last Wednesday either.
No, he had a doctor's
but
appointment.
I told Johnny I wasn't. Did Johnny tell you why?
Oh, no, he never shared it with me.
No.
I had a dental appointment, but I told Johnny ahead of time.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. I
Yeah, see,
forgive you
Johnny is older than I am, so he's losing it faster too.
Pick on me.
Yeah.
What you got, Tommy?
I just want to let everyone know in the audience know that the legislature
Uh-huh.
are doing supplemental budgets.
Oh yeah.
All right, and they're doing a supplemental budget. I don't know the exact day for the local Veterans Affairs office.
Why are they wasting time? Why
and
don't they just do the regular budget?
Well, don't ask me, please.
I mean, what's the difference between a supplemental and
Well, why
a
don't you
regular
go down
budget?
and ask them, Johnny, instead of asking me on the air all the time?
I'm just asking, Tom.
Don't pick on me, Johnny. I have
You work
PTSD
there.
too.
Okay.
But Tom, have they set a date as far as when they're going to?
I asked them this morning. They haven't set a date yet.
Okay.
As soon as they set the date and they let me know, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Okay.
And also, they're talking about $1 million.
An additional.
Yes.
Yes. And so that's
my caveat. And you guys know me.
Yeah.
What money did the local office spend in the cemetery or in the office?
Yeah.
How much money is left from that money that I got last year? Those supplementals last year.
Is there a breakdown to anything?
Nope, we don't. I haven't. I've asked that question just like you asked me,
Yeah.
and I get zero answer from everybody.
Well,
the last copy of the budget that you sent us was so vague.
Right, and that's right, and that's what I gave you.
Yep.
And I asked for detail. I asked, well, what's this? What's this? I get zero back from anybody. Zero.
Well, imagine if they're having that much problems with the VA, with us little guys, no loads, non-deserving anything. Imagine with the other agencies like public health.
Oh no, and that's
education,
that's
everything.
what's going on now.
Well, yeah, but I think the veterans community and non-veterans community should call up and say, we want itemized items. We want to know where the money's been spent, how many people you're hiring, how many people you've lost, and does that cemetery look any better than it looked 5 years ago?
No, sometimes it looks worse.
Yeah, no,
you
absolutely.
you had those crypts that should have been knocked down that are still standing. There are no remains in them. because you can't put remains in a crypt that's leaning.
Yeah.
But they haven't even knocked those down.
And that should be part of the standard process, right? I mean, understanding exactly like because I would be like, what happened with the other money I gave you? What is this $1 million going to go towards, right? I mean, what are you going to do with this?
You know, we ran into Tim Ogden at Payless, and he says, once I get my personal business all cleaned up and everything, I'll come on the Vet Talk show, and I'll explain to you people exactly.
Yeah,
what was going on.
Maybe, and that's what we've been asking, right? Because everything to this point is information that's been passed on from this person to another person, but who's ever been in, receiving those emails that received those emails that were receiving this request, and then where he left it off is really where his story ends where he left it off.
Yeah,
and he handed it over to.
It's like
the current director.
Well, the whole problem is Tim Hogan on the radio show. I was sitting less than 2 feet away from him. John, you were doing the interview. Said they got a grant, right? You remember that?
Yes, he did.
And all of a sudden, no grant. Zippo.
Yep.
The current administration said, we got a grant. The governor says, oh, yeah, we got the money. Oversight hearing, no grant. Zippo.
Well, you know how you said if I should ask the good congressman, are there any grants for the future for the this or this? What's the future hold for the cemetery? As bewildered as he is about what's going on in Congress right now and what's going on Guam, I was afraid to stick my head out of the sand.
No, you should have asked him.
Well, Tom,
he
that's easy to
represents
say,
us.
man.
And that's federal dollars, and he represents the federal side.
Yes, you're
And
right,
we've been
Tom.
promised a lot of money, directly or indirectly, from, let's say, our own government versus, the federal side. And we have not got a pot to know, what.
Yes, right. But you're right, though.
The only money that the local government gave extra was to rehab the chapel, the maintenance shop, and the office out at the cemetery.
And so we asked this question a couple of weeks back, but I mean, I don't think if it. Is it fully closed, the project? I mean, did they finish with the renovation, the chapel renovation?
No, not yet, because they're doing the maintenance office too. That's included with the chapel.
Yeah, but they started on the chapel first, and you would
Yeah.
think that they would finish that before they continue.
Well, the idea is, I understand construction. It doesn't take forever to do that. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Enough is enough.
No.
Get your ducks in order and get the job done, and get the trailers out of that cemetery, the construction trailers.
Yeah, they got to get out. I mean, look,
Because the construction trailers are sitting in the cemetery.
if you look at, listen, if you look at what Bank of Hawaii did,
Yeah.
they put that building up in a couple of months, right? Right by ITC.
Yeah.
That was up in a couple of months.
The ITC,
right across Kings.
across Kings. We
Yeah.
watched it
But
grow every Sunday.
Yes.
The veterans community has got to start getting, getting tougher.
Well, with
Stop
this,
saying we accept these answers, and the answers that are nowhere.
with this new selection of candidates running for office, we should be able to sort out the ones that can do it and the ones that can't.
Ooh, Johnny,
Johnny,
sounds great,
excellent.
but John, who wants to run for office anymore?
Johnny's getting recruited. Serious? No, I'm serious, Tom. I'm not
Democrats
lying.
can't get 15. You know that, John. They can't get 15, and the Republicans couldn't get 15 last time.
Johnny's getting recruited. No, I'm not lying.
John's getting recruited?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm
yes,
not.
you
Johnny,
are.
do you need a chauffeur? I'm your man.
I'm non-political and non.
Yeah, you're not
religious.
political. Yeah, okay, all right.
No,
Yeah,
I'm,
okay.
I'm not. I am neutralized.
You're more than neutralized, Johnny.
I think that's a good segue. We're coming up to a quick break, Tom.
Oh, break
You
time.
guys always go on break when I'm on the radio show. I don't know what it is. You're trying to cut me off.
Call back.
I'm going to have to call Donald Trump with the FCC and check things out here.
That's my man.
He almost threw a little bomb there earlier. I think we were just about to cut the show off on that one.
I want everyone to have a nice weekend.
You too, Tom.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Thank you. And so with that, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back on the bright side.
CBS News Brief. As President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin prepare for Friday's meeting, former DHS Assistant Secretary Samantha Vinograd says Putin gains just by having a meeting.
Even if Putin doesn't get any concessions coming out of this meeting with President Trump, he's getting a big win diplomatically.
The Trump administration has put the head of the DEA into the role of emergency police commissioner in Washington, D.C. CBS's Jake Rosen.
There have been over 140 arrests by law enforcement since August 7th, when the Trump administration first moved federal police assets into the city, according to the FBI Director Kash Patel. He said that at least 29 of those arrests made Wednesday were immigration-related.
A building housing federal offices in Lower Manhattan was evacuated Thursday after envelopes containing a white powder was found. The FBI's Christopher Rea.
We'd like to take this opportunity to remind the public that sending threatening letters of this nature, whether real or a hoax, is a crime.
CBS News Brief. I'm Michael Toscano.
Why longer-term CDs can make sense right now. I'm Mark Hamrick with a Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. With inflation still running above the Federal Reserve's 2% target and policymakers holding off on rate cuts for now, CD yields, primarily on longer-term maturities, remain attractive for savers seeking stability and peace of mind. If the Fed does begin easing over the next 6 to 12 months, as many expect, today's CD rates could represent a peak. Locking in now before rates drop could offer the best of both worlds, safety and return. Long-term CDs come with guaranteed interest and principal protection, a powerful combo in an uncertain economic environment. They can be especially useful for conservative savers or those nearing retirement, providing a stable, predictable way to grow savings. And if you're worried about tying up too much cash, consider a CD ladder, blending short and long-term maturities to balance yield and liquidity over time. Shop around for the best CD rates and lock in yield while the locking's still good. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
I'm Larry Magid with the Connect Safely report. An increasing number of young people are being targeted by scams designed to exploit them. And if this happens to someone you love, don't blame the victim. Connect Safely Education Director Kerry Gallagher helped draft recommendations from the Online Child Exploitation Prevention Initiative.
The overall message of any prevention program should be that when and if this happens to you, we've got your back. And the people who perpetrate these particular types of schemes are very good at what they do. So when and if it does happen to you, just know it's not your fault and we want to support you.
So regardless of whether the victim is a child or an adult, it's important to realize that the victim is not to blame. Try to put aside any feelings of shame or guilt and seek help. More at connectsafely.org/radio. With the Connect Safely report, I'm Larry Magid for CBS News.
Lace Up Guam, the first Run for Wishes event is happening at Leo Palace Resort on September 13th. Select your distance from 2K, 5K, 10K to half marathon to participate in this powerful event. Race package includes finisher tees, visors, socks, and medals, plus cash prizes for the top finishers. Proceeds from the event benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Guam, and CNMI. Presented by Leo Palace Resort, Clutch, Power 98, Wave 105.1 FM, Route 99, and Protection Concepts Unlimited, with support from our community sponsors. Sign up now to help wishes become reality through your step-by-step participation.
Get double the speed at zero extra cost with GTA Fiber. Experience super fast and reliable fiber internet speeds, now starting at 200 Mbps to 1 gig, with upload speeds just as fast as download speeds and 100 times faster than cable internet. You can enjoy lag-free gaming and clear video calls. Fast is also affordable. Sign up for Fiber 200 for only $70 a month. Visit gta.net or call 644-4482. Terms and conditions apply.
We're excited to announce that we're hiring for a variety of positions with some of Guam's most recognized and respected brands, including Coca-Cola, Foremost, Chili's, Glimpses of Guam, Subway, Good to Go, and Cinnabon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take the next step in your career, there's something here for everyone. Explore current opportunities and apply today at applynowguam.com. Your next great opportunity is just a click away.
One pill can kill. Fake pills often contain fentanyl. It only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl, equivalent to a few grains of salt, to be lethal. Fake pills are often sold on social media platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone.
Talk early and often to youth about the dangers of misusing prescription drugs and the lethal dangers of counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl.
Stay informed, stay safe. One pill can kill.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the radio stations of Glimpses Media Group, Wave 105 FM and Power 98.
It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off,
and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
Now it's that time for your real deal traffic report here on the bright side. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Hagåtña if you're heading north or southbound to the intersection near the Chief Kapua Park. Heavy traffic on Route 16 in Barrigada if you are coming from the intersection near the Guam National Guard heading to the intersection near the Guam Revenue Tax. Heavy traffic on Route 1 into Muning if you are heading to the intersections that lead to Route 14 or near the John F. Kennedy High School. Slow traffic on Route 1 and Upper Tumon if you are heading northbound to the intersection that leads to Route 16. And now for your traffic advisory for the week. The DPW HMC crew will be grass cutting Route 1 from Adelut to Polaris. Work will occur between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. The DPW asks motorists to please proceed with caution and remain alert for traffic control signs and work crews. And that is your real deal traffic report here on the bright side.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Guam is where I'm from. Kingdom of our people. Guam, island in the sun. From Jigo to Molessi, this land is all that we know.
And welcome back to the bright side. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly. Pauly's been covering for Patty from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And so he will be back next week. But until then, you got us for a couple more hours. Bobby, Miss Bobby, Johnny, thank you so much for
covering for Charlie.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom always knows how to spark. Like he'll light a match, and it's like, all right, have a great weekend, bye. And you're like, hey, wait a minute, you just we just lit the firecracker up, And so, so I'll go back to the question that I asked. And do you think that at some point, we would ever look at getting the Guam National Guard to come out and support our efforts to fight crime?
That would be an extreme.
Extreme? Okay.
That would be an extreme, because anytime you have to, especially on this island, and I'm up there in age, but I've never seen the island out of control to the point where you have to do that.
Okay.
I do know, however, that if that comes to to the point where they need to be there to protect the island or protect the community, they're ready to do that.
Oh no!
I mean, they're well trained to take care of
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
And again, it's not sort of they wouldn't be a force to. I mean, there would be support just as a force of presence, logistics. Right. Supporting the patrols going out and just making sure there's always two people in the car versus one. I mean, additional help.
Yeah.
And
but that's such an extreme. I don't even want to dream about that.
But we have to. But we have to.
Because
the question is,
there's a reality to it.
The question is, what is the breaking point? When do we think that the crime is going to? Because I think crime is really bad right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what is that? What is that breaking point?
Well, what was funny? It's like this thing's being audio to across the the papers, the thing. When the chief of police says we only have 2 officers on duty, what do the thieves and the crime makers think?
Yeah.
Oh, they're 2.
That's it. Let's go.
Let's go. And that's what happened Sunday night.
Oh yeah.
They had that riot down at
early Sunday morning. Yeah.
Early Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And it took a while for anybody with authority to show up.
Yeah. And actually, Joe brought that up. Joe Malik. He brought that up. He says, you know what? They're probably the criminals are listening to the show.
Yeah.
And,
we heard that coming in.
Right. No. And so and that's true. And but it's still what is at what point do you feel like things are getting out of hand? And I'm not saying I feel like things are bad right now, but I don't. At what point we need to I think we need to understand what is that point, because so that way the community knows that this is the reason why we're taking action. This is the reason why we need to take action. So obviously the vandalism, the graffiti, we can deal with that. But I'm talking about breaking
Real
into
crime,
real crimes, breaking into vehicles, stealing people's stuff. Folks showing into the house unexpected. You come in home, like there's a lot.
Home invasions.
Home invasions are up.
Are climbing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Up. So I was actually I was living in Puerto Rico during the time when they imposed that the National Guard was called up, and to your point, Johnny, I mean that should be the complete last resort, because it's a powerful message. It's a powerful message when you see a man in military uniform and a man next to somebody in uniform next to the blue uniform, right? It's powerful, right?
Yeah.
You see it and you're like, whoa, what, And again, that should be left to the to the extreme. But the conversation needs to happen to see exactly what is that extreme. Like, is it? Are we going to wait when the average? All of a sudden, we have an average of so many killings per month. You know, I mean, are we going to wait for that?
Well, like everything else, are we going to wait till all our water's totally disseminated? Are we going to wait till all our waters are polluted? These agencies just didn't start yesterday. These agencies have been in effect for at least, I'll go 50 years with everybody, because DPS evolved from, public safety evolved from DPS, which was a conjunction of 3 different agencies. The fire department, immigrations, and the police station, the policemen. So this didn't start. So they should have some mutual plan or mutual thinking. But to get to the point where we need to call in the backup of military service, that's the end of it. That's
I don't
unless
think
we start shooting these guys.
No,
on site.
no, and then that's not the intent. That's not
that is call a Texas Ranger.
No, that is not the the job of the Guard, and it's and the reason why I bring this up is because obviously the National Guard has been called up in Washington D.C. Right. Because one of the things that the mayor was saying was that the fact that the crime rate has gone down in D.C., but the reason why it's gone down is because 1, they're not being reported, right, and then 2, they're not able to capture the folks that are committing the crimes. So when you show the numbers and statistics, it shows like crime was 50% high here.
Guam is too small, though. We're not Washington D.C. with 15 million people in there, crammed into that small space. Guam is not that yet. In fact, Guam's population is disseminating.
Let's hope it never comes to that.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing is, we need to make sure that everybody understands that in order for us not to get to that point, we need to make sure that we control the crime that's happening now. Well, and so what are we going to do that? You came into the show saying you got solutions. Let's hear it, Johnny.
Okay. Well, what are you talking about? GMH? GMH, they've already started. They're getting rid of the top administrator who's been there 25 years. But what is the disposition of the hospital now compared to 25 years ago? Has there been a great improvement? The building hasn't exploded. It hasn't gotten any bigger. They've added a few rooms, but it was the same when I was working there. Mm-hmm. And even back then, I call that. I always like to consider my alma mater, working as emergency room tech. And seeing what's going on.
No, I mean, I was kidding about the whole solutions, but I think we all these things. Obviously, it's easy enough to point out all the issues, right? It's very easy, and the solutions are not easy, right?
Well,
but there are solutions out there.
The biggest thing to everything that I'm looking at is what I talked about as far as affects of airlines, the hospitals, anything. Maintenance. Proper maintenance. Timely maintenance. Don't wait till it's completely falling apart. Get it in the beginning.
Right.
You see a leak, report it.
No, and even that, I think, it even spills over to your other line of business, which is the fire department, right? When we talk about maintenance, those ambulances, they get run. I mean,
Yes,
they
they
get
do.
run. I mean, you see them run 24/7 up and down
24/7.
Route 1.
I
I mean,
rode
all the
those
way
for
down
2
south,
years.
all the way up
Yes,
north.
They need constant.
They need constant maintenance, and then they fall into that whole cycle about procurement. They can't get the parts
There
and
it
all
is.
this, and
the
then
money's not available.
and
we
then
don't,
and then we hit exactly what you're saying, Johnny. Then maintenance goes down because not because they don't want to get it fixed.
The procurement.
But then we're talking about
How
procurement.
do we get parts? But a good leader will be like that guy on TV. He works in a warehouse. He sees a part that's going down, and he knows that it's going to be utilized all the time, and it might go again. Order 2 more. That's just like her. She says, "How come you always get 2 of everything?" Because eventually this is going to go down again.
Right. And I will tell you that in practice and in class, one of the things that the thought process has always been that just in time. And so back in I'm in the industry, like if we lose a propeller, we better have another one, because if we don't have another one, that thing's not going up in the air, right?
You lost the whole cargo.
We lost everything, right?
You lost everything.
But in theory, the things that are in the textbook is the fact that if we were to have a very good logistics and everything gets there on time, and you order it and it gets there within an hour, you shouldn't have over inventory. Like you shouldn't have 2 or 3 of everything, right?
Right.
But things are changing.
Well,
COVID.
this island's not getting any bigger.
No.
And it's not shrinking. The only thing is shrinking is the population, but it was still, how do we get so many cars? The holy Toledo, the traffic on Guam, I said, and the Marines aren't even here yet. Some of them are, but not all of them. You imagine them rooting around with you'll be seeing a lot of old Boonie Dog cars. What do we call them?
Well, speaking of cars, I think each family has a minimum of 2 cars.
Yeah.
At least,
In their lot.
And if you got kids, 4 kids, and they stay at home and grow up and live with grandma and grandpa till the end of time, you got 8 cars,
I mean, and that's again, that's the effects of not having like a good, transportation system. Another issue that we have,
Exactly.
right? And that's something that we need to fix as well. So it looks like we have Joe again.
Well, he really likes to call on the show.
He loves you guys.
Yeah. Anytime you bring up something with GPD, I think he's got a comment.
And he's good.
He's actually going to talk about police force.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe, if you can put your radio down just a bit. I think you might have left us again.
Joe, are you there?
Joe, are you there?
I think he's still fiddling around with the radio.
No, I think he might have put it on, just paused. I mean, not paused, but left it, went to get something to eat or drink or something, and maybe he's come back. But yeah, we'll wait
We
until.
have somebody else on the line. Do you want to just take it, Cole?
Sure, let's go.
Yes. Good afternoon, caller.
Hi, I'm calling to give Charlie some good news that the statistics indicate it's the right time for him to run for governor.
This is Charlie's general manager and main sponsor.
We keep telling him that.
You know what? I have statistical evidence, provided by the Guam Election Commission that clearly indicates Guam voters' dissatisfaction with the leadership ever since the year 2002. in the last election cycle, 2024, do you realize that 51% of registered voters failed to vote, indicating that they couldn't find one person on that ballot
That was satisfactory to them.
that would motivate them to go into the polls and vote. More clear is that when Lou Leon Guerrero and Josh Tenorio, in their first term, 33% of the voters refused to go to the polls to vote.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
It is alarming. You know, in the days when tomorrow people enjoyed the opportunity to vote, only 18% of the registered voters didn't show up to the polls. Then, in 1998, it went up to 25% of the voters were saying, okay, we're not going to show up to vote. But the winning candidates still were able to garner 75% of the population to get them to vote. The Calvo Ray Tenorio administration was a change. Eddie Calvo kind of affected desire to return to the polls. Lou Leon Guerrero and Josh Tenorio have the worst show-up record in the history of Guam, the Guam voting public. What is alarming is that Lou Leon Guerrero, people are saying, I don't even care to go. Back in the early days of election, people were proud to declare their party. Do you realize that only 5% of the voting population will affiliate themselves with a party? That's 5% for Democrats and 3% Republican. You know why? No one wants to be associated with one of these administrations and accept responsibility for their iniquity or be associated with the trash that's going on in that leadership. They don't want to say, they don't want to declare it. So if only 8% of the population is willing to identify themselves with a political party on this island, why on earth do we have primaries?
Exactly.
Why can't everybody just get it, throw their hat in, and may the best man win?
That's a very good question, and I think that's that's a question that's going to be brought up pretty soon as well, and because that's being contested as far as the primary, and whether it's within law or a slight switch could change that. But one of the things is the question that we've always had, and we've discussed this week as well, is what is it that will take for the other 51% that are not coming out to vote? What is it going to take for these registered voters to come out and vote?
For Charlie Hermosa to get out there and run. And you know what, Charlie? All you have to do is take your shirt off because your body type is really attractive.
Madam, this
Stand next to the other candidate. It looks like an Arabian stallion standing next to a wild boar.
We are not related, so
Well, he is drinking protein shakes.
Yeah,
these
I
days.
am.
Are you still on protein shakes?
Yeah. I am.
Madam, can I ask you a question, please?
Sure.
What are your feelings in regards to this present administration, legislature included and everything? How do you feel about them?
The current administration is making it evident that the images they projected is just a mask or a veneer to disguise what's really inside of their hearts and minds. The thing is, Guam voters are so intelligent because they see right through this mess. They see
we
it
hope,
so
we
well
hope, right?
that
We
they
hope.
don't even want to go to vote.
Yeah.
Right. We hope, and that's one of the things we got to continue with that. I mean, whether you're going to go right or left, like, right. I mean, if you're looking at these statistics, 5 and 3, right? With Democrat. I mean, that's true. I mean, other than you wearing a blue shirt, Johnny, I would not know that, which party affiliation you're with. But
Well, you're wearing the white, and she's got the red, so we're very patriotic.
Oh, that's true. Hey,
Red,
there you
white,
go.
Well, I just want to make a comment that during the last election, there was quite a number of people that I had spoken to that said they didn't want to go to the polls and vote because there's no one there that is worth voting for.
Yeah.
You see? And what? The bankers globally are known to be nothing more than legal thieves. It's a travesty. You know what's another interesting voter statistic in 2024?
No.
The DMV registered 10,337 voters because the Guam Election Commission made it easy and convenient for voters to sign on.
Yeah.
But only 1,651 of those who registered at DMV
Came out to vote.
went out to vote. 8,686 voters said, forget it. There's no one worth voting for in there. There are ballots in the states where people can check mark none of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Really?
why don't we have that? Why can't the voters express their repulsion for slates of candidates that they know aren't worthy of leading this island in the right direction? You see, Charlie, what makes you so attractive is you have integrity. You have credibility. You're personable. It's easy for people to walk up to you and
Write
just,
this down.
hey, Charlie,
No, I am who I am, and
you're amazing.
no, I mean, I appreciate those kind words, but I think I'm going to take this all off me and kind of throw it back into the point that
Don't give it to me.
No, it all comes down. Nothing's going to happen. It all comes down to making sure that we get enough of the people and the community to go out and vote, because if only this percentage is coming down and voting and electing our officials, then you should have if you did not vote, you should not say anything, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't come out and vote and you complain, you have no position to make
That's
anything.
an old adage. If you didn't voice your opinion and
absolutely.
vote, then you got nothing to bitch about.
You should not.
That's not going to happen, Charlie. Tomorrow, people will express their opinions regardless of whether they went out to vote or not. And they're not going to reveal to you whether or not they took to the polls.
Yeah, that's
true. This island needs personalities that are inspirational.
What? No, and across the board. I mean, and if you look at everything that's happening now, you look even at the mayors. We have some amazing mayors that are doing great things in the villages, and that is sort of the rhythm and the momentum that we need. But we need to get through this. We need to get through the current budget because, again, we still have to fix the things that need fixing right now. We didn't get to the GMH, but one of the things that I had said yesterday was, if the governor was to give me a call and say, can you please, I'm going to grant you one wish. What would it be? I would say, Madam Governor, could you put aside the vision of having a new hospital? We definitely need. But can you put that aside for now and take the money that we've been saving for this new hospital and fix everything that we need fixing right now? Because we're at a very critical point. You see everything that's going on with the current budget. Everything's just kind of wrapping up. But with that,
Why don't you just ask her to step aside and sit in as governor?
Oh,
Easier said
if she
than
gave
done.
if she gave me a second wish, that would be possibly. But I appreciate. Thank you so much for the call. We're going to take a quick break.
Take care, Charlie.
Thank you,
You know
so
what,
much,
Charlie?
Yes.
The statistics are indicating that it is your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. And again, we got to be able to make that continuously argument that we need more people to come out and vote.
Yes,
I appreciate the
we
caller.
got to come up with some candidates to vote for.
No, absolutely, and that's the other thing. We got to continue to
And
get
this
more
lady's
folks.
Definitely.
Well,
fond of your body.
With that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the bright side.
KGUM FM Dendo. The talk of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Michael Toscano. Just hours now until President Trump meets one-on-one in Alaska with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Ukraine. It's a high-stakes summit.
The negotiations will not be easy.
This is going to be tough going for President Trump.
Beth Noble is a professor at Fordham University and the former Moscow bureau chief for CBS News. She knows firsthand that Putin is a skilled negotiator.
I've seen him be very charming, President Putin, and I have seen him be very, very tough, President Putin.
Adding whichever one shows up, President Trump would be well advised to be on his guard about everything that President Putin has to say. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Attorney General Pam Bondi is tightening the Trump administration control over Washington, D.C., naming the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration as the district's, quote, emergency police commissioner. Federal agents are now clearing homeless encampments in D.C., and this unhoused woman is right in the middle of it.
A lot of people want to, paint us as, disgusting or, criminals, and all that type of stuff. Or they want to do it like a charity case, the poor thing. And so we're just people. We're normal people out here working, trying to do well.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says his state will hold a special election November 4th on approving redrawn congressional districts. The plan would help Democrats gain 5 more seats, countering the same effort for Republicans in Texas. California Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley doesn't like it.
We see this sort of escalating redistricting war continue to cascade across the country. I think it's going to be total chaos. District lines are going to be shifting. It's going to create great instability, which is why I've introduced legislation in the House that will stop this scheme from moving forward in California, but will also stop similar schemes or similar mid-decade redistricting efforts in every state.
More than 100,000 DrinkMate branded carbonation bottles are being recalled.
The recall covers certain DrinkMate 1-liter carbonation bottles sold individually or as part of the sparkling water maker's OmniFizz starter kits. In the U.S., there have been 8 reports of the bottles exploding, 4 of which resulted in cuts, impact injuries, and hearing damage. Consumers are urged to stop using the bottles immediately and contact DrinkMate for a free replacement. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
Israel says more aid is getting into Gaza as correspondent Chris Lipsey tells us the military offensive is wrapping up.
In Gaza, Israel says it is stepping up operations aimed at defeating Hamas. They've already been pounding Gaza City for days with airstrikes and artillery, worsening an already dire humanitarian situation for civilians.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
entertainment. Vanity Fair calls BritBox a delicious streamer. Collider says everyone should be watching. Catch Britain's next best series with BritBox. Stream acclaimed new originals like Code of Silence.
You read lips, right?
And Linley, based on the best-selling mystery series.
Say hi, Linley. Take it from here.
And don't miss the new season of Karen Piri, coming this October.
You don't look like police. I'll take that as a compliment.
See it differently when you stream the best of British TV with BritBox. Watch with a free trial today.
McDonald's and Wendy's are reporting lower breakfast sales.
Of all the times you've made it at home, has it ever tasted like our McMuffin?
The fast food giants are blaming increased economic uncertainty and pressures facing low-income consumers, a core demographic for fast food restaurants, including sky-high credit card interest rates and inflation. Jonathan Mays is the editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business Magazine.
We're really talking about a fast food market, generally speaking, that is basically tanking right now.
Mays says fast food chains have lowered prices to try to get consumers to come back. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
Retired Michigan auto worker Richard Guilford got a Facebook message from a stranger saying, "Did you lose your wallet?" Minnesota mechanic Chad Volk found Guilford's wallet in the air filter box under the hood of a Ford Edge. It had $15 Guilford driver's license in it, along with some gift cards. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
It just works. Wave 105 FM.
Good afternoon. It is 4:07 p.m. and that is your time check on the bright side on Wave 105.1 FM.
The new and improved Chili's 3 for Me deal is here. Starting at $12.99, get a drink, an appetizer, and an entree. You heard right. You can get a Coke, chips and salsa, and an old timer with cheese for only $12.99. Only at Chili's. Great food and value happen here.
You are tuned into Wave 105.1 FM on the bright side with your guest host, Charlie Hermosa, filling in for Pauly Suba today, finishing the last 2 hours of the show. You can listen to us online on our website, thewave105.com, or watch us live on YouTube, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. If you want to join the conversation, please call us at 671-922-1051 or 2. You can also send us your comments on WhatsApp at 671-922-1051. The Bright Side is brought to you by Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Code School of Guam. Learn, code, and lead the island's first coding boot camp. Your future in tech begins with us at Code School of Guam. GTA, we start with you. Micropack is open at their Tamuning and Mall location. Make sure to follow their Instagram at Micropack671 and Micropack Inc. on Facebook for exciting deals and promotions. Sentinel Security Solutions, Guam premier provider of professional security services. Sherwin-Williams, the wet season is on its way and your roof needs to be ready. Don't wait for the blazing sun or the pounding rain. Get ahead with weather-ready coatings. Be smart, be prepared, and ask Sherwin-Williams. Subway, eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good to Go, we deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh. Now it's that time for your real deal traffic report here on the bright side. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Hagåtña if you are heading northbound to the intersection near the Chief Kapua Park. Heavy traffic on Route 8 in Barrigada if you are heading to the Tri-intersection near the fire station. There is also heavy traffic on Route 16 if you're coming from the intersection in Barrigada near the Guam National Guard, heading to the intersection near the Guam Revenue Tax. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Tamuning if you are heading north or southbound to the intersection that leads to Route 14. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Upper Tumon if you are heading northbound to the intersection that leads to Route 16. Slow traffic on Route 3 in Dededo if you are trying to make your way to the intersection on Route 1. And now for your traffic advisory for the week. The DPW contractor will continue grass cutting at the following locations between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., weather permitting. Route 1 Marine Corps Drive to Maning Dededo and Jigo, Route 15 Manilao Jigo, Route 3 NCS Dededo. The DPW asks motorists to please proceed with caution and remain alert for traffic control signs and work crews. And that is your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the Bright Side, brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule test drive today at Guam Auto Spot by calling 470 Auto or view their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com. Guam Auto Spot, 470 Auto.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
And welcome back to the Bright Side. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly this week. I've been sitting for Pauly this whole week. We're almost there. We're in the backstretch here. We got 2 more hours to go until the weekend. Pauly's been covering for Patty in the mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. He'll be back next week. And it is time. It's time to... We're going to switch gears a little bit. Yesterday, we were actually... we started talking about problems, identifying problems, but also it doesn't really matter if you can't offer any solutions. So, and with that, I'm going to set up the stage for my next co-host, Mr. Rob Jackson. And the way he describes me sometimes is that I am his brother from another mother. And, that's the way it works sometimes, because when we first met, we hit it off because, whenever you can have good conversation about stuff that people don't want to talk about, and you start kind of putting things into perspective, you found somebody that you can relate to, have a cup of coffee, enjoy lunch, dinner, glass of wine, and it's always going to be a good time. So, Rob, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, Charlie, thank you for having me on. I always say that you are my brother from another mother. We hit it off, right off the bat. And you really challenged me. I love the way that your brain works. Very creative, very innovative, and not afraid to apply innovation and creativity to difficult situations, difficult issues, difficult topics, rather than immediately responding with emotion and history and all of that kind of stuff. Instead, responding with creativity, innovation, data, etc., to try to solve a problem rather than just kind of, vent about a problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's very easy, right? It's very easy with all the stuff going on the island. It's very easy to vent. And I had a little bit of a venting session earlier this week, and Issa kind of controlled me. I don't know if it was because I was taking a protein drink, but I almost kind of went off the rails right on Monday. I was like, woof, it's going to be a long week. But we recovered. Right, Issa, we're recovered.
I think it was just the first day, you're getting heated with that protein drink.
I don't know. I was
first day of the week.
I was watching the Senators, and I was drinking the protein drink, and it kind of got me off rails. But before we start getting into some really good topics and a good discussion on some of the op-eds that you've written, which are amazing. And we're going to be able to have an opportunity for people to know exactly where they can find them. But you also have a podcast, and a lot of folks are starting to really ping you, right, as the Rob the Innovator, right? I mean that's amazing, and that's what your nickname is becoming, around the island, which is amazing, which is great. You have a lot of great thought process in there. But before we get to that, a little bit about yourself, Rob. Tell me a little bit about.
All right, real quick. I am a 27 plus year Air Force vet, retired colonel, came up in mainly aircraft maintenance and logistics in the Air Force. Got an opportunity to go off and see the entire world. In fact, most of my assignments were at overseas locations. Got an opportunity to also go out and learn a lot more, not just about the operational side of the Air Force, but also the business side of the Air Force. So the first opportunity came when I was a young captain, and they sent me to a program called the Logistics Career Broadening Program. This is kind of like an executive development program for young officers to teach them what happens and how an industrial depot works. So obviously the military services have large industrial depots where many of the overhauls to their weapon systems happen, and they are central nodes in the services supply chain. So as a young captain, I got to go to Warner Robins Air Logistics Complex and learn how a huge industrial center works, and got rotated around from production, supply chain management, contracting, finance, program management, etc. So you get a taste of kind of how the business side or the industrial side of the Air Force works. The idea is they want to expose you to that early, with the idea later on in your career as a senior officer, they can bring you back having already had that kind of experience to run a portion of that large industrial depot. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I made colonel, I was brought back to then Tinker Air Force Base at the Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex, and I ran the commodities group for the Air Force. Basically everything that came off of an aircraft except an engine, it came through one of my shops, right? So it was very important to supporting the Air Force supply chain. So whether it be a ComNav, black box, or structural parts, or oxygen components, or whatever, they're taken off in the field, they're routed back the retrograde supply chain, they end up at the depot, and then they're inducted into one of those maintenance, repair, and overhaul lines, and we do that. In addition to that, we also had organic manufacturing capabilities, so building parts to support the Air Force's aircraft, particularly structural parts. And that's also where I got my first introduction to additive manufacturing, 3D printing. We had something called a reverse engineering and critical tooling cell. When I got there, it was just kind of a bunch of bright young engineers who were tinkering with 3D scanning, 3D modeling, 3D printing, but it was just kind of a hobby or science project kind of thing. When I saw it, I was like, no, we need to make you a real, no kidding, business unit.
Part of the process.
That's right. You got to stand on your own.
Right.
We want you to be a revenue generating business unit of this organization. And here, let's put together the plan to make that happen.
And Rob, just real quick, we're going to take this caller real quick because I know JC was trying to call earlier before. Oh, he hung up. Oh, gosh, we keep missing him. So please, JC, if you can, please call back. It seems like every time we try to get to you, you hang up. But yeah. But so going on, so, obviously going through your career, your Air Force career, and, a lot of the nomenclatures, a lot of the names, a lot of the things that you just said kind of resonates well here locally because, to that point, I think until COVID, everybody wasn't really in tune with what's going with supply chain and how that worked. And all of a sudden, when things were stopping all over the world and we weren't getting our aluminum cans that were getting filled in San Leandro,
Absolutely.
California for, our Coca-Cola to be brought back here. Then everybody started saying, wait a minute, what's the supply chain you talk about? Because all I know is that the shipments come in from West Coast to Guam, but it's beyond that because you got to have the syrup, right? You have to have the aluminum cans. So you may have the syrup, but if you don't have the aluminum cans, you don't have a finished product.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So a lot of what you said, I think, a lot of our listeners understand a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I enjoyed learning about that. Later on in my career, I was also blessed for the Air Force to send me off to business school to get an executive MBA. The idea being that they were sending folks out from the acquisition corps and the acquisition enterprise so that you learn cutting-edge business practices and bring them back to the Air Force to make the Air Force better. So I got an opportunity to do that. And in fact, my last assignment in the Air Force was really working on a way to really digitize and transform the way that the Air Force does aircraft maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what?
Then took some time off, traveled around, saw friends and family, and then got hired on by what was then PAE, Pacific Architects and Engineers, a large federal government contracting firm. They hired me. I got into business development and business capture efforts, and then I put down roots in Dayton, Ohio, where my sons were living with their mom. And I thought, well, this is where I'm going to be. This is my next chapter of life. And I will tell you, I wasn't with the company for more than 2 or 3 months when somebody came to me and said, hey, we got an opportunity for you. How about you go and do this temporary 8-month assignment as a deputy project manager in Guam, working for one of our subsidiary companies. And, I said, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. Let me go and do that. So I showed up here in November of 2019. The temporary 8-month assignment turned into 12 months once the COVID hit. And then the subsidiary company I was working for was lucky enough to win its follow-on contract, and I got offered a permanent position. By that time, I'd fallen in love with the island lifestyle. I become an avid scuba diver, and I was like, yeah, why not stay here?
No, absolutely. And within, and it's interesting because within the scuba world, everybody knows you. I mean, I think some folks have taken trips with you off island, right? So, and that's, and I think there's a lot of us that have that same story, right? I mean, how we fall in love with the island, but it's also another part to be able to give back, and I think that one of the things that you do well in giving back to the island is, you really put a lot of effort into writing these op-eds because it really, what it does, right? You're not trying to sway anybody's mind one way or another. I feel like your op-eds really just want to spark that discussion. Like the what ifs. What ifs if we did do this, right? What if we do this? And that is where I think that these editorials should go, right? I mean, I've written some, but I've written some where folks are like, oh, I see where you're going with this one, but I think that if folks take the time to read your editorials, I think that they will understand because you will read it, it will make you think, right? And then, it'll probably spark that question and say, what if? So, and then besides that, I know that you're also trying to pursue, and I think that you will start, you will give back to the education system, and you're going to be a adjunct professor at the University of Guam.
Yes, I start this fall.
You start this fall?
Brand new adjunct faculty.
Let's grab JC real quick. I know we've been missing him, and so JC, thank you so much, and we apologize. We keep missing you.
No problem. I've been hearing that's kind of interesting. The one you're interviewing.
Oh yes, Rob Jackson, absolutely.
Hey, how you doing, JC?
And I still got to because we've got a lot of improved issue, like Drug Smith, There's a lot of them going unreported, and we need a National Guard. I need the governor to declare a state of emergency for the National Guard to clear all these homeless, put them on a place that they belong, or put them in jail where they can confine them because they're roaming around and doing vandalism, graffiti, doing when they need to use the restroom.
No.
Unsanitary. They should use it out in the public. It's pretty bad.
No, absolutely. And again, the question was merely just a point of conversation to see if anybody, right? I mean, it has to be discussed. I mean, because there has to be a critical point. We can't wait until things are super bad. Like, we can't wait until things are really extremely bad.
Like, don't you say extreme?
Right.
I don't know, sir. I see this. I'm tired hearing the police says only two of them, one of them. What happened to all those other entities, law enforcement, like Parks and Recs, whatever, Port Authority, Airport Police, what's going on? I thought those are, backup for the GPD.
Yeah, so they definitely do back up. I mean, they also have their own jurisdiction that they need to cover. But to your point, right? I mean, the point here is that if we don't have enough manpower, what are some of the solutions that we can implement in order to support our efforts to be able to bring down the crime? I mean, that's very critical. That's very critical. So, I mean, and again, that's why I just wanted to throw that question out as far as the National Guard. Like, could that be a point? I mean, but obviously, when Johnny was here, he said that, that's to the extreme, but it still has to be a discussion point, because if we allow things to get worse to where we can't come back from, then we're in serious problems.
Okay. You know what, Charles? I'll make it real quick. We need a law like to pass for the governor. They're going to run. They make sure they're in, in health, healthy condition.
Oh.
Because I noticed that governor from Saipan, I don't know, he got 2 more years, right?
Yeah.
And who's the governor? The lieutenant governor? Who be the governor?
It was the speaker. I believe it was the speaker who stepped up.
I think, sir, that would be the governor, lieutenant governor to be the governor.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The lieutenant governor became.
I don't know what's going on in Saipan, but here in Guam, I believe that something happened to the governor will be the lieutenant governor. Then down the line will be the speaker.
Yeah. And no.
They should pass a law, if you're going to run for governorship, you need to be healthy.
No, for sure. No, I completely agree. And I actually, I told everybody I was going to sort of relax, because this week it was a little, my heart was pumping really, really high with everything that's going on with the budget. But no, for sure. And that's one thing. I not only want to be healthy for myself, but for my family, my daughter, and everybody else. That's my biggest concern as well. But JC, thank you so much for giving us a call.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And so, Rob, kind of going back to what we were discussing on the editorials, and that was just a great, I think that it sparks the question, and I think once we come back from the break, would like to sort of dive into, no pun intended, I know you're a diver, but would love to dive into a little bit of either you want to talk about a certain editorial or the last one you wrote, because the last one, the headline is pretty interesting, right, with everything going on.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways we can go. We can jump into it once we come back, but I think there's an opportunity for us to approach it in a nonpartisan, fact-based, collaborative way that holds both Democrats and Republicans, right and left, accountable for a common vision.
There you have it. That is the topic of discussion when we return. And with that, we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the bright side.
Shout out to our friends over at McDonald's. Join their growth and build your career with them. McDonald's is hiring. Visit the hiring fair on Saturday, August 23rd, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. upstairs at McDonald's Harmon Restaurant. And now for your local news with the Marianas Business Journal, Skylar Bispo.
Buenas and Hafa Adai. Here's the latest from the Marianas Business Journal. Senator Jesse Lujan spoke briefly to the membership of the Guam Visitors Bureau yesterday, reminding them that the island's economy was partially propped up by the tourism industry. According to figures presented at the membership meeting, the pre-COVID economic impact tourism had on Guam is estimated at $2.4 billion, creating 23,000 jobs and generating $252 million in payroll taxes. Lujan spoke candidly about the condition of Guam's economy, saying that Guam is on life support and the economy has shifted away from tourism in favor of military development and GovGuam. He also announced to the membership that $10 million was allocated towards airline incentives in the planned GovGuam fiscal year 2026 budget. Lujan added that airline incentives were also included into the governor's transfer authority. The inclusion means that 15% of the $1.4 billion budget could be tapped to fund additional airline incentives. In more news, Team Guam's FIBA Asia World Cup run ended on Tuesday after losing to South Korea 99-66. Guam took the early lead in the first quarter, up by 1, but South Korea took off in the second quarter, outscoring the team by 22 points. At the post-game press conference, Team Guam's head coach EJ Calvo said that South Korea's offensive shooting and rebounds overwhelmed Guam's defense. Despite the loss, Calvo said that Guam's inaugural run in the FIBA Asia Cup bodes well for the future of the national team. Guam forward Ernest Ross Jr. joined Calvo in the press conference, saying that the opportunity helps showcase what Guam has in store for the rest of the world in upcoming FIBA tournaments. Reporting for the Marianas Business Journal, the Wave 105 and Power 98, I'm Skylar Obispo.
CBS News Brief correspondent Nancy Cortes tells us President Trump is trying to manage expectations for his Friday meeting with Russian President Putin.
He also said that if things don't go well, then he's not doing a joint press conference with Vladimir Putin tomorrow. He'll just do a press conference by himself after the meetings and head home and wash his hands of it.
The Trump administration wants a man who tossed a Subway sandwich at a federal officer in Washington, D.C. to be prosecuted. CBS's Jake Rosen has that.
Janine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for Washington and D.C., said in a video announcing the arrest that her office is going to, quote, back the police to a hilt, so there, stick your Subway sandwich somewhere else.
California Governor Gavin Newsom announced a November 4th special election to approve new congressional district maps to gain 5 Democratic seats, countering the 5 being created in Texas.
We are about to give power back to the people.
CBS News Brief. I'm Michael Toscano.
Lace Up Guam, the first Run for Wishes event, is happening at Leo Palace Resort on September 13th. Select your distance from 2K, 5K, 10K to half marathon to participate in this powerful event. Race package includes finisher tees, visors, socks, and medals, plus cash prizes for the top finishers. Proceeds from the event benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Guam, and CNMI. Presented by Leo Palace Resort, Clutch, Power 98, Wave 105.1 FM, Route 99, and Protection Concepts Unlimited, with support from our community sponsors. Sign up now to help wishes become reality through your step-by-step participation.
Think you've got what it takes to win? Tune in every Friday on Wave 105 FM with Patty Arroyo for the Hilton Trivia Challenge. Test your knowledge and you can score dinner for 2 at the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa. It's brought to you by the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa only on Wave 105 FM.
Bolt your doors, lock your windows, turn off your lights, and come with me into the Weird Darkness. I'm Darren Marlar, the host of Weird Darkness, every Thursday night from 6 to 8 here on Wave 105.1. Every week on Weird Darkness, you'll hear 2 hours of stories of the paranormal, supernatural, legends, lore, crime, conspiracy, mysterious, macabre, unsolved, and unexplained. Weird Darkness, this Thursday night at 6 on Wave 105.1.
Let's get spicy at Subway with the new Hot Honey Sauce. A little sweet, a little spicy, and a whole lot of delicious. Treat your taste buds to the zesty Hot Honey Pepperoni or the tender Hot Honey Chicken Sandwich, salad, wrap, or protein bowl. Hot Honey is here for a limited time only. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
Hafa Adai Guam, it's The Guam Guy, and my podcast is now playing on Wave 105. Catch me every third Friday right after Patty at 10 a.m. for all things environment and adventure on The Guam Guy Show.
It's the Guam Auto Spot Overstock Sell-Off,
and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at GuamAutospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
Now it's that time for your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the Bright Side. Let's see here. Heavy traffic on Route 16 if you're coming from the intersection near the Guam National Guard in Barragata, heading up to the intersection near the Guam Rev Tax. Heavy traffic on Route 1 into Munning if you're heading north or southbound to the intersection that leads to Route 14. Slow traffic on Route 1 in Hagåtña if you're heading northbound to the intersection near the Chief Kapua Park. Slow traffic on Route 1 in Upper Tumon if you're heading northbound to the intersection that leads to Route 16. Slow traffic on Route 3 in Dededo if you are trying to make your way to the intersection on Route 1. And now for your traffic advisory. This is for next week. Pavement striping and marking activities will continue along Route 1 from Route 8 to the Lupang Beach Tower in Hagåtña from Monday, August 18 to Friday, August 22nd. Work hours will be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Intermittent lane closures in both directions are expected during work hours. Motorists are advised to plan accordingly and proceed with caution. And that is your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the Bright Side, brought to you by Guam Autospot. Schedule a test drive today at Guam Autospot by calling 478-AUTO or view their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com. Guam Autospot, 478-AUTO.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
ISLA, Guam is where I'm from. Tautanu Itamoru, kingdom of our people. GUAM, island in the sun. From Jigo to Molessi, this land is all that we know.
And welcome back to the Bright Side. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly. Pauly has been covering for Patty in the mornings from 6 to 10. He will be back next week. And we are almost there, heading into the weekend. Hope everybody who is driving home right now, drive safely. Please get to your final destination. Don't text and drive and all that good stuff. You know what? And whenever you see an accident, right, it's not your fault all the time, right? It's all the other drivers. So just make sure that you're always on the lookout for driving safe. And if it starts raining, please ensure that you know that the roads are going to get slick. So just be careful out there. We want to be able to see you through the whole weekend, next week, and all that good stuff. So with that, we're going to head back to our conversation with Mr. Rob Jackson. We were just heading into, he kind of set the stage up for our next point of discussion. So Rob, take it away. I know one of the things that you were discussing, and if you want to kind of preamble exactly what you said before.
No, it's kind of like an idea about a common vision for Guam. So,
and this is from one of your editorials that you just put out, correct?
Well, it's broader than that. I think it's almost like my mission statement that drives a lot of the writing that I do, the work that I do with my business and technology consulting firm, as well as so many other things. Here's what I see. Got it. When I made the decision to make Guam my permanent home, I saw something. And what I saw was the very thing that I loved about it was also something that was a weakness. The thing that I loved about it, it was buffered from a lot of the craziness that I was seeing back in the United States. We're kind of buffered from that out here. We get to kind of live our tropical island lifestyle, and things move at a different kind of pace, and it's nice and it's beautiful, and you get to enjoy the this tropical island lifestyle. The problem is that the rest of the world is moving at breakneck speed. Literally, I use the metaphor and analogy of a tidal wave. There's a technology tidal wave that's already been created and is already moving at us. And right now, it feels like on Guam, because of that buffered existence that we have, that we don't feel like it's coming toward us. So the real question is Guam going to kind of ignore that and just wait for it to hit, and then when it hits, try to respond and react to it, the disruption and possible destruction that happens when it hits? Or are we going to proactively go out there and get on that tidal wave and ride it to success and prosperity? And I think I've made it my mission to kind of argue for the former, to get out there and proactively ride that tidal wave to success. Over the next couple of decades, there will be more technological and societal change at any point in human history. Huge disruptions in society caused by technological change is coming. It's already been unleashed. I like to use the metaphor somebody made up of business models and ways of doing things. The bullet that's going to go through the head and dead those old models has already left the gun. It's already headed at you.
Right.
So what are you going to do to respond to that? Now, here's the good thing about it. We have the blessing of geography. Geography for Guam is the gift that keeps on giving. We're kind of like 1 foot in Asia and 1 foot in America. We're right here at one of the most geostrategic points on the globe. That means we got a lot of focus, and we have the opportunity to get a lot of attention, get a lot of investment, get a lot of everything if we have a concise plan and able to execute on that plan. So what I like to say is, it's not like rocket scientists. It's not like to turn Guam into a 21st century tech and innovation hub is like putting a man on the moon. It's not that. It's a lot less complex, a lot less complicated, but it is going to require, 1, a common vision of the future, 2, leadership and accountability, so that, again, whether you're left or right, Republican or Democrat, you have a responsibility to carry the baton on your leg and move us further down the road to that common vision that everybody's bought into. And then doing the commitment to make the changes that we need to make. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. It just requires some changes in maybe thinking, as well as commitment to execution and accountability.
And so this is where I love our conversation, because obviously what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding is that we need to get ready, right? Or even
tidal wave is already coming.
Tidal wave is already coming.
Bullet has already left the gun.
Bullet is on its way. But one of the things that I have always expressed my personal opinion is that where do we have to be? Because unfortunately, when we talk about technology, when we talk about infrastructure, and we look at where Guam is at, I always say that Guam is sort of at that 1.0. The world is at 2.0. ready to go to 3.0. So
absolutely.
So do we go from 1.0 and hop over to 3.0 because we can't go to 2.0? A lot of these systems don't even work anymore.
Correct.
So we're still on AS400.
Yeah.
Come on. So the bullet's on its way, right? Understanding the infrastructure. How do you see this working for us? Because we could either receive it and fumble it and not make it work the way it should work. What is the structure? What is the process? What is the plan that we should be looking at so that we get ready for this tidal wave? Because what we're doing right now is not working. I don't think that we have any very structured plans that would allow us to be able to receive this tidal wave. So what in your opinion, what do you think we should be doing right now as we know that tidal wave is coming?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we need to do is a collaborative, common vision for Guam. Right now, again, this isn't a poke in the eye to any politician or any side, left or right, but people have intentions to do good things. But what I don't see a lot of is concrete plans and then accountability to those plans to then follow through. So I think first it starts with that common plan. What do we want Guam to look like? And everybody's bought into that plan, and we start moving ourselves toward that plan. I agree with you. I don't think we go from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. I think it's a jump from 1.0 to 3.0, and it's a balanced approach that some of it is about big, bold, transformational, technologically embedded initiatives to move us forward. But then some of it is just cleanup, fixing kind of the broke foundation that exists right now in the future. So it's kind of a balance between the two of looking down the road as well as fixing the current foundation.
No, absolutely. And we're going to take on, we have Mr. Peter Santos on the line. Senor, good afternoon. Thank you so much for calling.
Hafa Adai.
Hafa
I'm
Adai.
really enjoying the conversation here.
Absolutely. And
the other way, go ahead.
No, we want to hear from you as well because you give some great insight as well.
Well, he's absolutely right. We got to all, pedal in the same direction, right? We got to all pull the oars in the same direction. But just by nature, any place on Earth, they're going to have those that want to pedal in the opposite direction. They're gonna want to not change. They're gonna resist change, and part of how we get everyone on the same sheet of music is listening and talking to those people and informing them and educating them about what is necessary. I got my LLM in International Sustainable Development, and one of the things that we talked about was the traditional practices and the traditional knowledge and how other places, other countries are appropriating traditional practices and knowledge, to turning it in and monetizing it.
Yes.
And I said, well, that's the Guamanian Chamorro culture. We do things, because that's our practices. We don't do things because we want to monetize it. And one of the international students said to me, well, then, my friend, you're just going to be left in the dust. You got to come to terms and you got to come to grips that the world is not going to wait for us.
Yes.
The world is not going to, it's going to pass us by if we just stand still, right? And so that's a mindset that we really need to embrace and digest. That we need to step up our game and get ready to ride the train because the train already left.
Correct. And what I would say is it's serious-minded discussion. So what do I mean by that? No matter what ideas or plans people put forward, there's going to be issues with it, right? But rather than just saying, no, I don't like that, or here's the risk or the problems I see with it, you've got to have countering plans. Just like you said before, if one group, one side puts together a plan, just inevitably there's going to be somebody else with a different kind of plan. That's okay. What we need is like real discussion of serious people who really are trying to get us to that new future, that tech and innovation hub of the future that Guam can absolutely be, and have a discussion. Okay, why is yours better than mine? How do we mitigate the risk that you see in yours? Have those kind of discussions rather than, no, I just don't want to do yours.
And Pete, I think to your point, and I was trying really super hard. I swear I was trying hard not to bring up the budget and what's going on, but kind of watching what's going on there, right? You see things that are happening with some of these senators where, I don't think that they get it. I don't know if they're in the position to be able to kind of push us forward, and so. I think that we need that mind shift, as you said. We need that mind shift to kind of switch, because if we don't, this tidal wave is going to pass us by, and we're gonna miss that. We're gonna miss that wave.
And it starts with a vision and a plan, right? So there's a lot of debates that go on in Guam, like you were talking about with the budget, or even on something as foundational as, do we want statehood, free association, status quo, or free complete independence? To me, that's putting the cart before the horse. Those kind of questions fit into an overall plan about what do we want to look like in the future? What does Guam look like in the future? And then we start walking that dog backwards to say, okay, how do we get from where we are right now to that vision that we all collectively see? Then it shapes the discussion about all of these different things. But right now, what I don't see is commitment to detailed plans that people are committed to and accountable to in order to work.
The last person I saw that had that kind of visionary approach was former Governor Carl Gutierrez when he was the governor. He had lots of great ideas, the incinerator, telecommunications, captive insurance, all kinds of things that we could have benefited from. But, as with anything political, you're going to have those that are going to push back, not for legitimate reasons, but just to push back for political reasons, because they don't want to see you succeed and they don't want to see your idea succeed, and they have to counter you just because that's the fixed response, right? And so that's the kind of things I think we need to learn and change our mindsets that, hey, if it's good, doesn't matter whose idea it was. Let me ask, what can I do to assist in getting that done? Not what can I do to steal your thunder or to shut you down.
No, completely agree. And just on a quick side note, Pete, since I have you here, and have you been watching what's going on in D.C. with the National Guard?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and the question has been proposed. I know it's been said it would be extreme to do that here, but the question that I want to ask: at what point do we hit the critical point where we see that crime is just not controllable, right? I mean, things are just getting out of hand. We have to have those discussions, because we just can't think that when we hit that critical point, we're going to be able to react in the right way. I think we need to have those discussions now. I don't know. That's just my thought, but I would throw it to somebody with more knowledge on law and legal and all that good stuff.
Well, the funny thing is, here on Guam, like 90% of the guardsmen are police officers anyways.
So they would be called up, and they're not going to be able to do their beat.
Yeah, well, that's an exaggeration, but quite a bit of them are police officers. The reason why, and it goes back, to the early parts of our history in the country why we do not want the military to do law enforcement functions is because the military is, a beast of the politicals, the politically elite. And so we don't want to give law enforcement authority to politicians, right? So that's the danger that happens is if we
Amen, brother.
Allow
That's
our
a good
military
point.
Amen,
to be
brother.
used in a law enforcement way. We have law enforcement. It's just we don't want our military. We want to separate the law enforcement function from the military function because they're in defense of the country, and we don't want them to either practice or exercise law enforcement powers or to collect intelligence.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Pete. Good point.
Domestically.
Good point. You know what? That's a great point. And I think that
we teach I teach posse comitatus to the military, and they're supposed to know they can be brought in for peacekeeping duties and even disaster relief and stuff like that. But once they're asked to start making arrests, then that's where they draw the line.
Yeah, and Robin and Pete's a proud veteran as well. Army, correct, Pete?
Army, yes, and I'm also a GPD. I was a GPD officer as well. And one of the last point, I guess we're coming up against time here, but the last point is getting our government to actually perform the services and functions that they're supposed to, and they're getting in the way of business thriving, and then at the other end they're choking them out by taxing them. So what we need to do is we need to demand a government that's more efficient and that's functional, and that and then when business starts to flourish, and then they can reap the rewards. But it seems like it's the opposite. The government wants to reap all the rewards, yet not allow businesses to thrive.
Yeah, or give those efficiencies to the people that are in need of it, right? That's...
there's when business international businesses look at places to invest, there's a database on all the countries, and they rate every country on how easy it is, how stable the government is, what services are available, what how just a business environment, how easy is it to get licensed, how easy is it to get permitted, is it very restrictive, is there corrupt government, is there a lot of bribery going on, is the government stable, right? And I don't think Guam is on that list and is studied that way, but if we were, it'd be very, very curious to see where we fall in the spectrum.
Yeah, so that's really a great point, Pete. And if you take a look at my latest article in the Guam PDN, it's entitled, In Order for Guam to Build a Modern Economy, We Need a Modern Government. And it kind of compares and contrasts, what are the characteristics of a modern government, and then how does Guam rate against that, and then recommendations about what we can do to kind of start moving in that direction, right? So that's why I was saying that there's got to be like a split between future focus and cleaning up the messes and fixing the breaks of today, because it's hard for you to get behind a leader who's just focusing you to the future when you see the crap right in front of you, right? When you see everything that's broken right in front of you, it kind of like delegitimizes the future focus vision that the leader might be trying to do. So you need to be working on fixing and cleaning up the current foundation while you're investing into the future. That gives you the credibility to say that you're actually moving in a direction to provide good services and efficient services to the people.
No, absolutely. And with that, Pete, are you going down to the Tuma Night Market on Sunday?
We've been having a lot of family events because this is the season where off-island members are on island, and the last of the off-islanders left last weekend. So I think maybe I'll
relax,
cruise down there or head down there and check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if we can run into each other there. So with that, awesome. Thank you so much for giving us a call. Please always call.
Calling, Pete.
Have a great weekend, Esther. So with that, we will take a quick break and we'll be right back on the bright side.
KGUM FM Denver. The talk of Guam is Wave 105 FM.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Michael Toscano. 13 hours now until President Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin go head-to-head over Ukraine. The summit could not only affect what happens with Ukraine, but also the future of European security. CBS's Olivia Gazis has more.
There have been several key stipulations that the Europeans have made and that they have stressed must occur if there's supposed to be a lasting agreement coming out of this meeting. The first, that there needs to be a ceasefire or at least a meaningful cessation of hostilities so that conversations about security guarantees and territorial disputes can take place.
Ukrainian President Zelensky will not be at the negotiating table in Alaska, but he's been holding high-profile meetings with European leaders. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams reports it's a signal from them to President Trump of their support for Ukraine.
Both Ukraine and its allies here in Europe fear that sacrificing Ukrainian territory to Russia would set a dangerous precedent, rewarding Vladimir Putin for his invasion and even encouraging him to do it again.
Attorney General Pam Bondi says she has given the powers of Washington, D.C.'s police chief to the head of the DEA. As the federal presence increases on the streets in the nation's capital, correspondent Scott McFarlane is watching the National Guard troops.
They are notoriously out in high-volume places, outside of the major train station, at points along the National Mall, the areas where there's heavy foot traffic. In fact, there'll be a lot of tourists and visitors to see the National Guard. The Pentagon says it is a 24/7 mission for these 800 Guard members in the District of Columbia and that they're unarmed.
Federal agents have begun clearing out homeless encampments in D.C., as WUSA-TV reporter Matthew Torres reports.
Clearing homeless encampments isn't new in D.C., but threats from the federal government of fines or even jail time if unhoused people don't leave, move to shelters, or seek mental health services have elevated concerns.
Closing down an encampment doesn't solve the problem. It just moves the problem.
President Trump is now at odds with his own Labor Department over inflation numbers. The Producer Price Index measures inflation before it hits consumers. And the Labor Department reported Thursday that U.S. wholesale inflation surged unexpectedly in July, up 0.9% from June, up 3.3% from a year earlier. But the president sees it differently.
We've ended Biden's inflation nightmare. So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. And now our inflation is down to a perfect number, a beautiful number, hardly any at all.
This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Thursday night marks 60 years since four lads from Liverpool rocked U.S. fans with the world's first stadium concert.
Ed Sullivan tells of packed Shea Stadium that honored by their country, decorated by their queen, and loved here in America.
Here are the Beatles!
That concert at New York's Shea Stadium set world records for a pop concert with over 55,000 fans. One of them, then Brooklyn teenager Carol Rapatsky.
It was so loud. Girls were running and fainting, and it was pandemonium. I mean, we think we heard the music, but I don't know if we really did.
The 1965 Beatles concert generated gross receipts of $304,000. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
Louisiana's Attorney General is suing Roblox, alleging the popular online gaming platform is allowing sexual predators to victimize kids. She says Roblox should be shut down. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
Americans are still shopping a little more every month, but we're doing it in a different way. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Retail spending grew at a healthy pace last month, but shoppers are increasingly seeking bargains. For example, consumers spent a little more dining out, but said they're cutting back. The explanation is they're going to less expensive restaurants. Shoppers are buying groceries more frequently, but spending less money per trip. Spending fell for furniture, electronics, and appliances, where prices are starting to rise from tariffs. Consumers are even looking for bargains in luxury goods. Over a quarter of U.S. adults say they've cut back spending on luxury items, and the same proportion say they've bought refurbished or used luxury items. Economists say this is the way consumers behave in times of economic uncertainty, a trend that could last a while. I'm Jeff Colvin.
A cool way to keep cool. This is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. Summer's a trial when the temperature's high, especially on those nights when even the AC can't cut the steam. So here's a tool that can help keep you comfortable whenever you feel hot or cold. It's the Ember Wave. Think of it as a personal temperature control. You wear it on your wrist like a watch, and at the touch of a button, the Ember Wave generates cooling sensations that radiate from your wrist all across the rest of your body. And if you're cold, it can make you feel warmer. You can control it, so the effect's never too much. Those hot summer nights when the air hangs heavy in your room, Ember Wave can help. Hot flashes, night sweats, or feeling cold, quick relief can be a touch away. Learn more at embrlabs.com. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
The talk you want to hear. Wave 105 FM.
Good afternoon. It is 5:08 p.m. and that is your time check on the bright side on Wave 105.1 FM.
Get ready to fuel up and save for your next adventure. For a limited time, Bank of Guam customers can enjoy 5% off fuel when you use your Bank of Guam Visa debit card at Shell stations on Guam and the CNMI, keeping your engine running and your wallet happy this summer. No codes, no coupons. Just use your Bank of Guam Visa debit card and save 5% today. Don't wait. The offer ends October 15, 2025. Visit bankofguam.com for promotion details. Bank of Guam, the people's bank. Member FDIC.
You are tuned into Wave 105.1 FM on the bright side with Charlie Hermosa filling in for Pauly Suba, finishing the last hour of the show. You can listen to us on our website, thewave105.com, or watch us live on YouTube, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. If you want to join the conversation, please call us at 671-922-1051 or 2. You can also send us your comments on WhatsApp at 671-922-1051. Shout out to our sponsors over at Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Code School of Guam. Learn, code, and lead the island's first coding boot camp. Your future in tech begins with us at Code School of Guam. GTA, we start with you. Micropack is open at their Tumuningen Mall location. Make sure to follow their Instagram at Micropack 671 and Micropack Inc. on Facebook for exciting deals and promotions. Sentinel Security Solutions, delivering operational excellence and protective services across commercial, industrial, and residential sectors. Sherwin-Williams, rain's coming fast. Are you ready? Defend your home with Sherwin-Williams Loxton. Engineered for Guam's dry to wet season shift. Built tough and made to last. Protect what matters today and ask Sherwin-Williams. Subway, eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good to Go, we deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh. Now it's that time for your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the bright side. Slow traffic on Route 10 in Chalampago if you are heading to the intersection. That also leads to Route 4. See here, heavy traffic on Route 1 in Hagåtña if you are heading northbound to the intersection near the Chief Kapua Park. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Timuning if you are heading north or southbound to the intersections that lead to Route 14 or near the John F. Kennedy High School. Slow traffic on Route 16 if you are heading to the intersection near the Guam National Guard in Barragata. There is also slow traffic up ahead on Route 16 in Barragata Heights if you are heading to the intersection near the Guam Rev and Tax. Slow traffic on Route 1 in Upper Tumon if you are heading northbound to the intersection that leads to Route 16. Slow traffic on Route 16 if you are also trying to make your way to the intersection on Route 1 in Dededo. Slow traffic on Route 1 in Dededo if you are heading northbound to the intersection that leads to Route 26, Machechi Avenue. And now for your traffic advisory. This is for next week. Construction activities will continue along Route 10 between the Route 4 intersection and Father Dueñas from August 18th to 23rd. There will be lane closures between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Motorists should expect delays and drive with caution. And that is your Real Deal Traffic Report here on the Bright Side, brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule test drive today at Guam Auto Spot by calling 470 Auto or view their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com. Guam Auto Spot, 470 Auto.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
She reminded me of a golden shore. She was nothing like your average girl next door. She liked DVDs, tattoos, and Paramore.
And welcome back to the Bright Side. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly. Pauly's been covering for Patty at 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. He'll be back next week. We're in the final stretch. One more hour to go, and if you're driving home, please get home safe. If you're going out anywhere, please get there safe. It's very important, especially when it rains. It gets really slick out there, so please be careful out there as you get to your final destination. And one of the things that we want to continue to discuss is what you were talking about, and we also have our co-host Rob Jackson. And before we forget, I always want to say thank you, Rob, for joining me on this 4 to 6 hour. It's always
thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on.
And all the listeners and all the viewers, if you have any questions for myself or Rob, please give us a call at 671-922-1051 or 671-922-1052. If you're watching us via YouTube, please leave comments, messages, and we'll be able to get them back to you. Or if you want to prompt anything a point of discussion, please let us know. And with that, we're going to go back to a little bit of what we were talking about, Rob, in regards to a modern government. So let's talk a little bit about, let's take Jarena real quick. I know she had called earlier, and she's always full of information, insight, and a lot of good data. So, Jarena, you are on the air. Thank you so much for calling back.
Hello. Okay. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Rob Jackson for getting my mind to spin at 1,000,000 miles an hour with an idea on how to promote collaboration rather than opposition in formulating a vision for Guam. A couple of months ago, a delegation from Taiwan that's engaged in microchip manufacturing and distribution was here to investigate the opportunity to establish Guam as a microchip manufacturing and distribution center in line with President Trump's Made in the USA initiative. If a team of leaders got together and took these ideas to the next level, I think it could be a windfall for Guam and would also provide an opportunity for the governor to leave her public office service with an asterisk next to her name as opposed to being attached to a negative thing. Every governor, every elected leader does the best that they can, given the time and resources they have to accomplish what they set out to do. So, irrespective of how they leave, they should always be commended for accepting their commission to represent the people of Guam. So, Mr. Jackson, thank you so much. Here now, people who are not egotistical or narcissistic have opportunity to engage in international trade that will result in a windfall for Guam.
Yeah, thank you so much for the comments, and I humbly accept the praise, Jarena. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for highlighting, the recent visit from the Taiwan delegation, because I think that's a great example. But I'm going to jump over to something maybe even bigger. You talk about the governor's legacy. I think she already has cemented a piece of the legacy that is, in my opinion, humbly, will be a critical ingredient in shaping Guam and transforming Guam into a 21st century tech and innovation hub. So follow me on this one. Her initiative with the United States Navy and Astro to build a 3D printing, additive manufacturing capability was extremely foresighted, because I think that really is the path to building up the economy. I think that right now, with the National Defense Industrial Strategy and a document called the Regional Sustainment Framework out of the Pentagon, those documents are already telling the world they're going to push and they want industrial capability closer to the theaters. And they're starting with Indo-PACOM. So Guam becomes a natural hub for that industrial capability, right?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so can you imagine, a vision of if we really got serious about making Guam a business-friendly environment for the defense industry. And instead of just relying on the fact that we have bases here and there's construction associated with those bases and that there are military members and their families spending on the economy, what if we had a whole set of cottage industries that were supporting and providing maintenance, repair, overhaul, sustainment, and logistics to the weapons systems that the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, and the Army are depending on. They're already saying they need that and they want that. So all we need to do is fill that gap. That's really all we need to do. And if we started off by building smart factories, micro factories that are embedded with AI, additive manufacturing, IoT, all of these kinds of things from the beginning, rather than a 1970s, typical factory, right? That you start building those kind of factories from the very beginning to provide maintenance, repair, overhaul, and sustainment services to the military, then that will allow Guam to get a reputation of being a high-tech place that's using these capabilities. And it will be a magnet to draw more commercial workloads here. Because they're saying, well, wait, look at Guam. Look at what they're doing with additive manufacturing. Look at what they're doing with smart factories. Look at what they're doing with micro factories there. Maybe we can go and use these commercial products and have them built there in Guam. It will,
and it's sustainable.
Yes, and it's sustainable. And it's not just a matter of this is a good deal for Guam. This is something that is needed for our national defense. And the Pentagon and our top military and national security leaders are saying this is what they want. This is what they want, and this is what they need. All we need to do is turn that back and say, this is how Guam is going to help provide that to you. That's all we really need to be able to do.
Rob, you've got to really keep hitting on this. And technology is available now that you can and do maybe even an animation on the potential and the possibilities, so that the people of Guam can see what could be, and be able to rally around this common cause. To anytime a community supports and facilitates a presidential directive or even the Armed Department of Defense directives, it can be nothing but good for Guam.
Yes.
Rob, you are a blessing. Thank God.
No, you are a blessing. Thank you so much.
To Guam.
Thank you so much for calling in. And we do have a quick question. It's going to be
sorry, this is not for your conversation.
For the conference. Oh,
it's a different.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thank you so much for the call. Have a great weekend. I appreciate. Thank you so much as always for calling in.
And thank you, Jarena. It was great talking to you. And thank you for the
Rob,
sweet comments.
Where do you air your podcast or your editorial?
Yeah, so the thing that I would do is I'd focus you to my Substack, since Substack is the new thing out there. You can see all of my content under one umbrella. My podcast, my articles, my writing, all of that kind of stuff. And it's at Rob the Innovation Coach. So
at Rob Innovation Coach?
Rob the Innovation Coach. Yes, so go check out my Substack, but I also am on YouTube, so you can go to Rob the Innovation Coach on YouTube, and all of my podcasts are there. I also do shorts and reels of my content on Instagram and Facebook. Again, under the moniker Rob the Innovation Coach. But if you want,
thank you, Rob. You know what? I'm going to listen to your podcast and stuff, and I am going to pursue an education that will be able to position me to carve out my niche in the development of an industry that will help Guam. God bless you.
I love that. People empowering themselves to take charge of Guam's vision. Love that.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice weekend. I know I'm going to have a nice weekend because it's ending on a wonderful note that people, if they really listen and absorb the possibilities, can begin to dream again.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. It's really all about that. The innovation, the fact that you can do it, and that's what we're trying to push here. So, again, Jarena, thank you so much for the call.
Have
a
nice
great week.
Weekend,
have a great weekend.
Yes, thank you. You have a great weekend. And so what Isa, we can definitely answer the question maybe during the break.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay.
So after the break?
Yeah, after the break.
We'll be right back.
CBS News Brief. The hours are counting down now to President Trump's meeting in Alaska with Russia's Vladimir Putin as the president looks for a plan toward a ceasefire in Ukraine.
We're going to find out where everybody stands.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has named the head of the DEA as Washington's, quote, emergency police commissioner. CBS's Jake Rosen looks at how the federal takeover of D.C. is going.
We saw FBI Director Kash Patel announce this morning that the administration across its federal law enforcement officers had made 43 arrests, but 29 of those were immigration-related arrests.
Governor Gavin Newsom has scheduled a November election to approve new congressional lines in California, countering Republican efforts in Texas, he says, are pushed by President Trump.
Here we are, an open and plain sight before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system.
CBS News Brief. I'm Michael Toscano.
Who's just barely making ends meet? I'm Mark Hamrick with a Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. A new Bankrate survey finds more than 1 in 3 American workers, 34%, say they are living paycheck to paycheck. That's defined as having little to no money left over for savings after covering monthly expenses. Financial struggles have been magnified by historically high inflation of the past few years. The cost of necessities like food, energy, and shelter have been ground zero for these price increases. This has hurt those with the least financial resources the most. Breaking it down, most affected, 2 in 5 Gen X workers, those aged 44 to 59. Unfortunately, there is no silver bullet to solve this problem. Ideally, workers will make more money over time and find it easier to save. And it would be helpful if inflationary pressures continue to come off a full boil, helping to restore Americans' buying power. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
Here's why budget-friendly vehicles may become harder to find and upscale vehicles easier to find. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune Magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Not surprisingly, it's all about the economics of tariffs. Lower-priced cars are heavily imported. That made sense before tariffs because offshore manufacturing was often less expensive than U.S. manufacturing. But now those vehicles will apparently be hit with significant tariffs. Of course, luxury vehicles may be tariffed if they're made outside the U.S., and if they're in the U.S., they may have to use tariffed steel and aluminum. But luxury vehicles have higher profit margins than low-cost vehicles do, which means those amenity-stuffed models can still make decent profits even in a world of tariffs. The result is that automakers will be more eager to sell you top-tier vehicles, and budget models won't be as appealing as they were. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at SubwayPacific.com for pickup at your convenience or delivery right to your doorstep. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
We're excited to announce that we're hiring for a variety of positions with some of Guam's most recognized and respected brands, including Coca-Cola, Foremost, Chili's, Glimpses of Guam, Subway, Good to Go, and Cinnabon. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take the next step in your career, there's something here for everyone. Explore current opportunities and apply today at applynowguam.com. Your next great opportunity is just a click away.
Lace Up Guam, the first Run for Wishes event is happening at Leo Palace Resort on September 13th. Select your distance from 2K, 5K, 10K to half marathon to participate in this powerful event. Race package includes finisher tees, visors, socks, and medals, plus cash prizes for the top finishers. Proceeds from the event benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Guam, and CNMI. Presented by Leo Palace Resort, Clutch, Power 98, Wave 105.1 FM, Route 99, and Protection Concepts Unlimited, with support from our community sponsors. Sign up now to help wishes become reality through your step-by-step participation.
Back to school, back to savings. Micropack is having a back-to-school sale. Grab a new laptop or desktop and get a free flash drive. Just mention the radio code 25 back to school, and it's all yours. But hurry, it's only while supplies last.
Hats Tinting and Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Hats also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and based-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
The new and improved Chili's 3 for Me deal is here. Starting at $12.99, get a drink, an appetizer, and an entree. You heard right. You can get a Coke, chips and salsa, and an old-timer with cheese for only $12.99. Only at Chili's. Great food and value happen here.
It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and our manager is absolutely crazy for dropping these deals. Right now, drive off in a brand new 2025 Eclipse Cross for just $24,995. That's $2,000 off the original price. Plus, check out our high-quality pre-owned vehicles, fully inspected and ready for the road. Get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO to schedule your test drive today. It's the Guam Autospot Overstock Sell-Off, and everything must go.
Country music lives on Route 99 FM. Tune in to 99.5 FM or listen live online at route99fm.com to catch all your favorite country music non-stop and direct. 24/7 country music. Classics, throwbacks, and the chart toppers are keeping you cruising on Guam's road to all country music, Route 99 FM.
Political status impacts almost every aspect of our lives on Guam, but many are unaware of our right to self-determination and decolonization. What does it mean, and how can it improve our quality of life? Join the conversation, ask some questions, and learn more about your right to self-determination and the 3 legitimate political status options for Guam. Tune in to Challenge the Status Quo every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon on Wave 105.1 FM, presented in partnership with the Mission on Decolonization and Glimpses Media.
Hafa Adai, Guam. Engage in a conversation made for the veterans of Guam with Johnny and Miss Bobby. We want to hear concerns and comments. Tune in every Wednesday for our new time, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Wave 105, The Talk of Guam.
One pill can kill. Fake pills often contain fentanyl. It only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl, equivalent to a few grains of salt, to be lethal. Fake pills are often sold on social media platforms, making them available to anyone with a smartphone.
Talk early and often to youth about the dangers of misusing prescription drugs and the lethal dangers of counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl.
Stay informed, stay safe. One pill can kill.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the radio stations of Glimpses Media Group, Wave 105 FM and Power 98.
Bolt your doors, lock your windows, turn off your lights, and come with me into the Weird Darkness. I'm Darren Marlar, the host of Weird Darkness, every Thursday night from 6 to 8 here on Wave 105.1. Every week on Weird Darkness, you'll hear 2 hours of stories of the paranormal, supernatural, legends, lore, crime, conspiracy, mysterious, macabre, unsolved, and unexplained. Weird Darkness, this Thursday night at 6 on Wave 105.1.
Now's the time for your last real deal traffic report here on the bright side. Slow traffic on Route 4 in Sinahania if you're coming from Hagåtña heading to the intersection near the Central Precinct. Slow traffic on Route 1 in Hagåtña if you are heading northbound to the intersection near the Chief Kapua Park. Heavy traffic on Route 1 in Tamuning if you are heading north or southbound to the intersection that leads to Route 14. Slow traffic on Route 1 in Upper Tumon if you are heading northbound to the intersection that leads to Route 16. Slow traffic on Route 8 in Barragata if you are heading to the Tri-intersection near the fire station. Heavy traffic on Route 16 if you're coming from the intersection near the Guam National Guard, heading up to the intersection near the Guam Revenue Tax. And now for your traffic advisory. This is for next week. The DPW HMC crew will be preparing Route 4 from the Maritzo Bell Tower to Hemlani Apartments for paving between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. There will be intermittent lane closures. Paving is tentatively scheduled for the following week. The DPW asks motorists to please proceed with caution and remain alert for traffic control signs and work crews. And that is your last real deal traffic report here on the Bright Side, brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule a test drive today at Guam Auto Spot by calling 478 Auto or view their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com. Guam Auto Spot, 478 Auto.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
ISLA, Guam is where I'm from. Tautanu Itamoru, kingdom of our people. GUAM, island in the sun. From Jigo to Malesi, this land is all that we know. I said this land is all that we know. Come with me to my roots in a little tin shack.
And welcome back to the Bright Side. We are almost there. We're almost there into the weekend. My name is Charlie Hermosa. I'm sitting in for Pauly. Pauly's been covering for Patty from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. He will be back next week at the normal time. Just want to give a quick thank you to Pauly and Patty for letting me stand in here for this entire week. Thank you so much, and hope to hear from you or hear you guys next week. And with that, we do want to address a quick question that we received, and it's in regards to, other than online, where can a vet physically go to get a copy of their DD-214? The answer is you can either, if you're anywhere, you can go to your state veteran office. If you're here, you can go to the Guam Office of Veteran Affairs and put the request in through them. They should be able to help you with the DD-214. Hopefully that helps. I have also reached out to see if there's any other local networks that are able to. There's also, obviously, we do have the VA office here physically that can help as well. Okay, so we have a couple of other questions that will be popping up, and we will see. Okay, so this one is being addressed to Rob. Is Rob single? No, I'm sorry. I don't have my reading glasses. I'm sorry. It says, does Rob have an email? Sorry, Rob. I thought it said, is Rob single? It says, does Rob have an email that he can share?
Yes. So the email and phone number to my business and technology consulting firm, The Most Services. You can reach me at rob.jackson@themostservices, all one word, .com. And the phone number is 671-688-8878. Again, the email is rob.jackson@themostservices, one word, .com. And the phone number is 671-688-8878.
And there you have it. And so, shoot him an email or shoot him a message or call him up. He's always available to answer any questions that you may have. And again, one of the things that has allowed me to really call Rob a friend is that he's always there to listen as well. I may have some crazy ideas. He is also a great sounding board about potential opportunities, and he's always looking out to do something great. And now it's time to share. It's time to share with the listening audience our endeavor and what we're and just a quick synopsis of what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. And it's one of those things where
Yes.
it goes to what you've been saying, what you've been talking about. It goes to the things that I've been talking about in the sense of if you don't try to put your ideas into motion, they'll just remain as ideas.
Yes.
Right. So if you have anything that you think could innovate, if you have anything that you think can solve a problem, it could be as easy as the invention of the paperclip. And that is as easy. Somebody is a billionaire because they said, "Oh, let me twist this little wire and it's going to hold papers together." Bam, you have an invention there, innovator. And back in the day, that was innovation there. Post-its. I mean, that's whiteout. I mean, you name it. We can go down the list of things that were there were problems, and they came up with a solution to be able to put something forward. But they needed to put that in motion. They needed to put those ideas in motion. And so, Isa, do you want to take that real quick or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going
Absolutely.
to read this flyer real quick from the Department of Public Health. This is a back to school. Let's get immunized for children 4 years old to 18 years old that have Medicaid, MIP, or no insurance. This is happening tomorrow, Saturday, August 16, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. while supplies last. This is at the Micronesia Mall Center Court. Line starts at Denny's entrance. Routine childhood vaccinations will be administered at this event, excluding chickenpox vaccine. TB PPD skin test is not a vaccine and will not be provided. Requirements: child's current shot record, yellow shot card. Children below 18 years of age must be accompanied by a parent. If other than parent, adult must have legal documents or written authorization from parent. Child's birth certificate, parent, guardian, or authorized adult's photo ID.
And there you have it. It's very important. You need to make sure you get those shots before going to school. So again, if you will we be able to post that for additional information, or?
Yes, I will post a link on the YouTube.
Okay, that's great. So on the YouTube, you'll be able to. Again, I keep saying on the YouTube. Johnny's really got me messed up on that because everybody's like, on the net, on the internet, on the. But it's the on the YouTube channel. We
with
want
the YouTubians.
Yeah, exactly. We'll post a link, and if you want additional questions, there's contact information there. So make sure you get all the information, all the records straight before you go down to the Micronesia Mall and get your kids vaccinated. So kind of going back to what we were discussing, Rob, and so wanted to share with the listening audience that you and I, we came together, we sat down and we said, you actually brought the idea and said, hey, listen, this startup Micronesia is coming up. And I said, what? You sent me the link. I looked at the link. I said, hey, this looks like a really good idea. But it was you had to pitch a business idea. And so, we worked at a few options and we settled on one.
Yes.
And the way that I describe it to folks is we wanted to look at something that could make an impact locally.
Yes.
Regionally as well. And that would be something that the communities, they would see it as a way that, yes, it can be monetized, but it was actually to save lives. And one of the things, so we came up with the idea, and Rob, you can take that one, or if you want to kind of explain what the idea was, the name, and what was the foundation behind our pitch. So we will say what we did, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the steps that we took to pitch it, and then the outcome of the competition.
Yeah. So our idea was something called Ocean Link. And the idea was to kind of start locally, really start from the island of Guam and move out throughout Micronesia. And then, if successful, there was a capability that this was globally value added. So the idea is being able to basically put a digital backbone in the ocean. Right now, there's a problem set. Once we go out on to the high seas, we really don't have connectivity anymore, particularly the average person, like the average recreational boater or fisherman or something like that. Once you get so many miles offshore, you lose connectivity because the cell towers don't reach that far. So the only solutions that exist right now are very expensive. Basically, SATCOM radio or Inmarsat that are on some of the larger commercial vehicles. And using those communication methods is extremely expensive. What we're looking for is a low-cost way to basically provide connectivity offshore. So the idea that we started developing is the idea of a network, a mesh network of smart buoys. And with that network of smart buoys, we could basically provide connectivity, basically like you have Wi-Fi off shore. And once you had that digital backbone in the water, there's a lot of things then you could run through that, particularly using the idea of this smart buoy concept, because depending on how you outfitted those buoys, they could serve different mission sets for different kind of customers. So think about it. The very basic level is for the recreational boater or fisherman who just needs Wi-Fi or WhatsApp phone calling capability to be able to stay in contact with loved ones on the shore. That's something that, if put in place, could be just an option on somebody's Docomo or IT&E phone plan. For an extra X amount of dollars, you can now have ocean connectivity in order to do that. But then you have maybe specialized needs of like Coast Guard, fisheries, NOAA, national security kinds of folks like JRM, et
surveillance,
cetera.
right?
Yes.
Safety, and so one of the things the point was that the problem that we were looking at is that we started seeing that there was a lot of issues with lost fishermen, and so we were looking at how do we look at that problem and how do we solve it? So we created a deck. We put a business plan together. We decided to go in for the workshop, which is about 4 days worth of how many hours total? I think it was 51 hours. Was it 51 hours?
It was more than that. I want to say it was like somewhere between 56 or more.
Yeah, but the mentors at SBDC were just phenomenal.
Yes.
Great mentoring, and so then they got a panel of judges. We pitched it. Obviously, we were able to move on to the next round, and we were able to compete against other island nations in Micronesia, and we pitched, and we actually came on top. So Guam came on top. Our idea won, and so now we are in the phase of moving this thing into a prototype phase. So we're going to be looking at creating a prototype, basically taking this smart buoy, throwing it out in the water, going on a boat, trying to connect. Once we connect, we got a good proof of concept. And then we're going to keep moving forward. So, but it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Rob, about, making sure that we're sharing these ideas. But the thing about that is that in order for you to innovate, you have to take action.
Yes. You've got to execute.
You got to execute.
Yes.
And it also goes into...
And transparency, right?
Yeah.
So collaborating, just like what we did. It wasn't just one person have an idea, you're sharing that idea, and maybe somebody else has a missing piece of the vision that's complicating your ability to execute. So maybe you're not able to do it, but because you've collaborated with them, they're bringing in that missing piece of the puzzle that you really need to be successful. So very big on collaborating and getting people to think about it. Because, like, for example, one of our judges, Sharon from GTA,
yes,
she gave us a lot of great insight because she was representing telecom industry about how you could go about that business model, et cetera, and it really got us thinking a different kind of way. So I thought that was very value added. Shout out to Sharon, because I saw her this morning at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. I was telling her how much I appreciated her insights and stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. And again, so just wanted to touch on that because, I think it's very important because there's some really great ideas running around. And as we head into the weekend, we only got a couple minutes left here before we have to call it a day. But for everybody who's listening, thank you so much for joining us. There's been a lot of stuff going on this week. Obviously my week, Isa, and I do apologize, I almost went off the rails, obviously, because I was listening to what was going on with the, with the budget and so forth. And I think that we're definitely making strides. But the one thing that I would like to share from my own personal perspective is that we got to continue to ensure that we have good data, right? I mean, because that is, we talked about that yesterday. Because a lot of the decision that I feel that are being made right now is potentially being done with data that's pretty outdated. And I feel that if we had up to the second information, similar to how folks are making decisions in the stock market, you're watching that thing live.
Yes.
And you're seeing that ticker, and then you're executing,
yes,
and you're putting a buy, you're putting a sell.
Yes.
We need that. We need that. So, and I'll turn it back this as we're finishing the show. Obviously, Rob, there's no line about our current IT infrastructure. We're at the 1.0. We're at the 1.0. The world is heading into the 3.0.
Yes.
Okay.
Bullets already been shot.
Bullets.
Tidal wave is already on its way.
So we need to get ready, and I'll twist it back, not twist it, but I'll turn it back to you with some final thoughts on how do we, and the reason why I bring this up and I tie it into the budget is because obviously we need a lot of things to change.
Right.
But we definitely need to take a couple of steps forward. I think pressuring the companies and pressuring the private sector to continue to pay more when we're not getting anything back from the government as efficiencies, and it's not only me, it's everybody in the community, everybody that goes to DRT to try to get a driver's license, they can't get it, they waste one day, that's time out of the, time and money that is lost. So 1.0, 3.0, how do we do it?
Yeah, so my personal humble opinion is the road goes through defense, sustainment, and logistics. So if we could start building and capitalizing on the opportunities out there to provide defense, industrial capabilities to defense in the form of maintenance, repair, and overhaul, sustainment, logistics, etc., that's an easy kind of thing. I talked about the policy shifts that have already happened in D.C. that's saying that this is what they want to do. So all we need is a plan to say, this is how we're going to give you what you want. It becomes very important. And quite frankly, that industrial shift has already happened on Guam, and it's quiet. So, like, for example, the two things that have happened very quietly over the last several years is, first, there was additional submarines that were brought into here.
Huge. That's
huge because now they need a sustainment tail to come with them. So a detachment from Pearl Harbor shipyard was assigned here to do that maintenance. The problem is that everybody knows that it would be better to have a local workforce assigned to that Pearl Harbor Navy shipyard doing that repair effort on those submarines. But right now, because of what our workforce development piece looks like, they're having a hard time being able to do that. So they're dependent on off-island people coming in and being able to support that. Problems with security clearances, problems with the requisite skills and abilities. So workforce development has to be the first kind of thing. The second thing that's happened very quietly is Marunda. Marunda Defense has come in here and set up a ship repair.
Yeah.
Yes. And, that was a lesson learned from COVID, when the world shut down and they were doing maintenance, repair, and overhaul on the Navy's LCSs in Singapore. They couldn't do that anymore. So they had to move it here to Guam during that time frame to keep the mission going. So I think they've learned from that, hey, this is probably the place that we need to be for a hub. So workforce development in order to support that. Second, close second is infrastructure, being able to have the infrastructure with it. But then third, probably one of the most important, and we've been hitting on it the whole time here, is there's got to be a business-friendly environment here.
Ooh.
Business-friendly environment that
go.
makes it easy and makes defense companies want to come here to Guam. They've already been given the green light and the vision from their customers in the Pentagon that maybe you need to be setting up this industrial capability in Guam and Micronesia. But all we need to do is follow it up with a plan and a business-friendly environment to make them want to not go anyplace else but Guam and set up shop.
And Rob, I consider you an expert, and I hope these senators are listening to you, because that is exactly what we should be doing. We should be an easy place to do business with. We should be promoting and attracting and not doing any of these scare tactics about raising taxes and all this other good stuff that they think is a good stuff. And we want to be able to create that platform. We want to be able to create that plan. So with that, Rob, I want to say thank you so much for joining me. No, this is great. This is I think we can do this. I think this is a good duo. I think we can balance different sides of a specific subject. But I also want to say real quick before we go to get off the air is a huge shout out to SHRM Guam. They put on their conference today, and I was able to attend, be part of the panel, and it was absolutely amazing. It was the superheroes, Avengers. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. The team, the SHRM Guam team, is they put a phenomenal event together, and I was actually saying something to my good friend Mike Pangalini that I could compare it to something that's being done in Las Vegas. That's how well it was done.
Very nice.
And I think that is the experience that we want to be able to promote here locally. The guest speakers were phenomenal. A lot of great things. If you haven't been able to attend any of the SHRM conference, please sign up now, because they fill up fast. And if you are in the HR side of the house and you're looking for somewhere that you can hang out with like-minded people and you can learn a lot, join SHRM Guam chapter. I think it's just been an amazing experience. With that, we're getting close to the final minute. Any last parting thoughts or comments, Rob?
All that I can say is that I love Guam, and I really see a vision, and I see an opportunity, and it really is not that difficult. It is not as difficult as putting a man on the moon or building an atomic bomb. It just really requires collaboration, vision, everybody seeing the same sheet of music, and then everybody being held accountable and transparency to start moving in that direction.
No, absolutely. And this is just my thought. It's one BPT rollback at a time. I had to sneak that in, so we need to roll it back. So with that, we're getting close to the last final minute here. I want to say thank you again to Pauly and Patty for allowing me to come in and guest host here for this week. We look forward to listening to them next week. Isa, it's been great, as always.
Always a pleasure working with you.
Absolutely. We'll see you next Wednesday for sure with Johnny and Bobby.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing everybody at the Tumon Night Market happening on Sunday. We got to continue to push that. We got to support local. We got to support our local vendors. We got to make this thing a success. It's really going to go a long way. GVB is doing a phenomenal job on getting this thing, getting it better every single week. So hopefully the weather, keeps up the way it is. Even if it's a little cloudy, that's good. Sun, not having too much sun is always a good thing. So with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us and listening to us. If you're driving right now, please get to your final destination safe. I want to say thank you once again, and I will sign off and have a great week. And love you, Guam.
KGUM FM, Daddy No, the talk of Guam.